Highland Heights. An Odyssey Sports Station.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
This 2020 Sports brought to you by Make It Right. Call Kyle Wright. Bad accident, hurt at work. Make it right. Call Kyle Wright for free consultation. Call 844-WIN-OHIO or visit ohattorneys.com. Guardians right fielder Chase Delotter played in his first regular season game as the 2026 season got going last night, and the youngster made his first at-bat, certainly one to remember.
Delotter, high fly ball, right field, it's deep. Rayleigh's back at the wall, he leaps, he can't get it! Chase Delotter with a home run in his season debut. 1-0 Cleveland. Chase Delotter picking up right where he left off in Goodyear.
That courtesy Guardians TV. Good guys take it 6-4. Delotter would later hit another solo home run. He finished with 3 hits, scored 3 times. Delotter, first player in Guardians history with multiple homers in his regular season debut. Also, the 5th in Guardians history to homer in his first regular season at bat. Jose Ramirez with the Guardians in front for good thanks to a 2-run double in the top of the 7th. Tanner Bibee got the start for the Guardians last night, went 5 innings, gave up 3 runs on 4, which included 3 solo home runs, struck out 7. However, Bibee would leave the game just prior to the 6th inning with inflammation in his right shoulder. Cavaliers back to work tonight. Again, will play host to the Miami Heat. Meanwhile, there's a chance Jared Allen makes his return to the Cavs lineup. He's currently listed as questionable. He's missed the last 10 games with tendinitis in his right knee. NCAA tourney, Sweet 16 last night in the South. Illinois knocking off Houston 65-55. Iowa upset Nebraska 77-71 in the West. Number 1 Arizona beat up on Arkansas 109-88, and Purdue avoiding the upset, topping Texas 79-77. Can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
I still think Deshaun's going to get a shot. There is so much demonstrated evidence of Deshaun Watson being a really good NFL quarterback, and we have none on Shadour. If I'm the Browns, and this is going to be a transition year anyway, unless Shadour really shows me a lot more than he showed me last year, I'm probably looking at this like I want to make totally sure that we got it wrong on Deshaun Watson before the contract expires.
Listen for the MMQB's Albert Breer, Tuesdays at 5:20 on Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Delotter, high fly ball, right field, it's deep. Rayleigh's back at the wall, he leaps, he can't get it! Chase Delotter with a home run in his season debut. 1-0 Cleveland. Ripped fair down the right field line. That should get 2 home. Hoskins scores. Here comes Schneemann. He scores 2, and Rocchio into second base with a clutch 2-run double as Cleveland takes a 3-2 lead. And now Jose slugs one to left field. A Rosarina going back. Over his head. One hops the fence. Go ahead run scores in Rocchio. Here comes Delotter. Here's the throw to the plate. He's safe. And Jose Ramirez delivers a tie-breaking 2-run double with 2 outs. And now Chase Delotter, goodbye, deep right field, into the night it goes, and it's 6-4 Guardians. It's a 2-homer night for Chase Delotter.
This is Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of Guardians Television. Good morning to everybody out there.
What a great day to be a Cleveland Guardians fan.
What do you mean by that?
Great day.
Okay.
Start out season 1-0 against a team that this could be a ALCS preview.
You don't want to go. Do you really want to go that far?
Why can't it be?
I will say.
2 teams expected to make the playoffs.
Well, yes, but can I say this? I think it's obviously its position because of the possible work stoppage that's coming up. Like, you're reading a lot of articles about the youth movement that's going on with a lot of clubs, save for like 2 clubs, 3 when you throw the Mets in there. The youth movement that's going on in professional baseball, and I'm like, well, if all these teams are going young, we've always been going young, wouldn't we have a better chance than all these other teams that are going quote unquote young, the youth movement, things like that? Like, Detroit's a really good ball club. I don't know if they're going to build a 15-game lead this year, but if they were, I don't know if they're going to drop it this time around. But hopefully it doesn't get that swollen. But if everybody else is young or going young and we've been young, I'm like, well, if we're used to this system, then what the hell's the problem with us? Like, what's wrong with that? And I still say, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with not being the crazy team in town. And I'm going, yeah, 87 wins, probably a wild card because I have to give the Tigers their respect. 87 wins, probably a wild card, and I think you can get a series win, and we'll roll the dice and see after that. Is that so bad? I don't think that's. I didn't even give you time to give your prediction if you have one. If you don't want to give one, fine.
Well,
but
you said 86 wins.
87
wins yesterday.
87.
I mean,
wins.
that's the ballpark, right?
They had 88 last year.
Yeah. What they had the year before?
More than that.
And that they had dug themselves in such a deep hole a season ago. That what I liked and what I said I liked about this team is they had no business after that news came down about the suspensions and your dominant closer that's just never going to be a part of the team anymore.
Yeah.
And you're wondering how many guys in the club. Like there was a moment when there was a report where we thought, was the whole clubhouse in on this? Is this going to be the biggest scandal in baseball in years? This is like Marge Schott or something like that. And in the end, no, it was pretty isolated, just two dudes, and how they dealt with that. I thought was so interesting that could have bogged down and basically ended the seasons for a lot of different teams that were not ready to handle something like that.
Now,
and they were able to handle it.
Owen's going to hate me. That's one for Cade Smith. That's one.
Why would I hate
you? Because you get mad at me for how close I watch closers all the time, which apparently I should have been watching Emmanuel Clase a little closer.
Ken is game to
game. That's my biggest problem is that you sat there and you killed Emmanuel Clase for the wrong things. You should have been killing him for throwing pitches into the dirt on the first pitch of the 8th and a half inning.
I should have been knowing that something fishy was going on with that fella.
As closely as you watched him and analyzed him and said that he sucked. He didn't suck. He was just throwing games, Ken.
I held it in, Owen. I should have came out here and I should have been like, listen, I think that this guy's throwing pitches where eventually he could be facing 65 years in federal prison. That's what I really should have been saying.
It smells like the Gambino crime family to me.
If it looks like Bonanno, I mean, what are you going to do?
So after last night, you're in on Cade Smith. I imagine you're in on
that's one.
Chase Delotter as well.
He's fine,
Who, Cade Smith?
Chase Delotter. 2 home runs in his, actual real debut.
I thought
his real debut.
I thought you were setting. Well, it is a debut. I know how I feel. Hey, I get to watch it tonight.
It was his first official hit.
Yes,
because the postseason hits last year did not count as official hits.
No, sir. So Chase Delotter, if he can be, it's always if he can stay healthy, he can stay healthy. It's the same thing. I'm going to throw a name in here, which young John did not realize. And I go, that's another person you got to learn. That's a Cleveland thing. That's not an everywhere else thing. Because John follows baseball very closely. And I said, and I didn't want to put it on social media because people get very defensive of this man. If Chase Delotter can just stay healthy, he could be the right fielder. Even though Lonnie Chisenhall started his career at third base, Chase Delotter could be the right fielder that the player that we were all hoping that Lonnie Chisenhall could be before the injuries. Issue is the injuries. If he could stay healthy, I think he has the power. I think he has the play where he can if he can obviously stay in the lineup, that he could be that player that we always hoped that Lonnie Chisenhall could be. That's not a knock on Lonnie Chisenhall. Lonnie Chisenhall, I think, by and large, was robbed by his injuries and the fits and starts of his career. Still had 8 seasons in the bigs. Still had 8 seasons, but by and large was robbed. And I brought that up, and he goes, people here like Lonnie Chisenhall. I go, John, people here loved Lonnie Chisenhall. Like there were people in Cleveland that would fight you in the middle of the road over any disrespect of Lonnie Chisenhall. There were a lot of fans that guy had. And I look at Chase Delotter, and I go, gosh, I don't body-wise, I'm not sure if they're the same stature, but I look at him and I go, man, that guy could be. You need some pop around Jose Ramirez. You need somebody who's a little bit consistent. Maybe he could be the more consistent guy. Now, people are going to hear me and say, well, it's one game. Yeah, but we've been talking about Chase Delotter for the last, 2-3 years now. So if you felt that way a couple of years ago, then hopefully this is the beginning of something very nice for him. Something special? I don't know. We'll see. But I'm not trying to put too much on one game, but when you go out there and you hit 2 home runs in an opening day, that's a very special thing for you, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come for the Guardians.
Are you like me where there are certain guys you just expect you're never going to see, and he was one of them? I mean, he was drafted, 2022?
Yep.
There had been so much excitement about him, and then broken foot. And then so much excited about him, and then it was the toe.
Absolutely.
I think, the left foot, and then the foot fracture, then the hamstring, then the turf toe, and then I think even in spring training this year, he was banged up a little bit, and I'm just like, we're never going to see him. Yeah. Then he comes out and does that and has that performance, and it's like one of those where you're like, oh, how many fingers can you cross at the same time to hope that this dude actually gets the opportunity and can stay available for an extended period of time? Because if he can, they haven't had guys over the years, especially, outfielders that have legitimate pop. And I saw this last night. Just one of the numbers floating around on social media, that last year the Guardians were dead last. Out of 30 major league teams, they were dead last in hard hit balls. Yesterday, they had the most. Like, they had a bevy of hard hit balls. And that, it's nice to see. That's what an actual legitimate playoff lineup, at least the top portion of it, should have something like that in it. So It was nice to see.
You've been looking for a guy to put in front of Jose for a while since Lindor left.
Seriously, yeah.
It's one game. We got 161 left, but looked pretty good. Also, the 15th straight opening day with a different right fielder starting.
Which I didn't realize. Who was on 19? Was it the Red Sox who were on 19? And I go, oh, that's a long, long, long list of guys who have started right field for the Red Sox. I didn't realize we have 15.
I mean, we normally are a team that platoons like 4 different positions for the first 6 months of the year, it seems.
But I guess it is a different feeling.
I'm looking at the list right now, some of the names, I'm like, that guy was on the team. And it usually happens that way for the Guardians. There's 2 or 3 guys on the opening day roster that don't make it to June. They end up getting DFA'd, and we get somebody up from Columbus that makes an impact, but
which also, by the way, Zach Meisels put this out there. Social media reactions brought to you by
Shibe & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
It is 6:13, 11 seconds for those scoring at home. He is the 5th to have a home run in their first career at bat with the Indians/Guardians. John Kenzie Noel was the other one, the latest one. Kevin Kuzmanoff was the other one.
Kuz!
Jay Bell in 86. Earl Averill. April 16th, 1929.
So this was the bummer. And I said, the mistake we had is I wish we would have had somebody on from Seattle yesterday to tell us how they felt about starting a game on opening day that late for them. I mean, it was really late for us, obviously. I think the game, ended, 12:40. In Seattle, they don't want to start opening day that late either. And what is a bummer is just a fraction of the audience got to see that all-timer in an opening day. Imagine if that would have been at home. Imagine if he had posted that kind of day at home, how nuts people would be going.
If it would have been at 1 o'clock or something like that, it would have been a lot better. By the way, Zach, and reason why I was on Zach's page, Tanner Bibee, there's good and there's bad. There's uneasiness, I should say. Tanner Bibee left last night's game with right shoulder inflammation after the 5th. So it's right shoulder inflammation. That's your number one starter. That could be a bit of a conundrum. Here is Stephen Vogt, I believe. Oh, who is this on this? This is Stephen, right?
Bibee.
Oh, this is Tanner himself. Go ahead.
I had all my tests in there, and I think I was strong in a good majority of them. So I feel like when I wake up to see how it feels worse, feels better. I mean, just got to see more.
He seems to be fine by it. You want to hear Stephen Vogt?
Yes, please. I'm sorry. I got my rods and cones mixed up. My fault. Go ahead.
I thought Tanner pitched outstanding, a couple solo shots. That's going to happen, especially against a team like this. Leave a few pitches over the middle, but really outside of that, they didn't get much else going. But, I thought Tanner was great. So it's right shoulder inflammation. He's feeling good, so we just have to see how he feels the next couple days coming out of it. But definitely the right call for him to let us know he was feeling it.
Through 78 pitches. I mean, you always got to be a little bit careful about that stuff at the beginning of the year.
That's probably how many you're going your first start anyway, right?
Well, if you woke up and you just saw the box score, I mean, 5 innings is that's about as far as they go anymore.
He's the only one that they really stretched out over 100 last year anyway.
So it wouldn't stand out to you, but it's something we got to pay attention to. That Tanner Bibee did leave last night's game with right shoulder inflammation. So I do think that, again, if all the guys can stay, or if we're going to do youth And everybody else is starting to do youth now, or more of them are doing it because I think they know that there's a lockout coming, and I don't think that they want to be beholden to it, and they want to get themselves some contracts because we don't know what the league is going to look like after 2026. I mean, you could be looking at a salary cap and a salary floor at some point, and if you do get one of those things, that means we're going to be without baseball for a while coming up in the winter. So I think there's a lot of teams just kind of holding it down, where you have teams that are in major markets like the Yankees and the Mets and everybody's critical of the Red Sox for going as young as they have. The Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers, who are probably going to go for the gusto. Good God, let's call it what it is. You can be frustrated. Losing is frustrating, certainly. But if I go down to the Yankees in the postseason, the Yankees are supposed to beat everybody in the American League. If I were to go down to the Mets or the Dodgers in the World Series, obviously it would be heartbreaking, but it could be understandable to some degree there. So I think that that's kind of the way where you're caught into. Can I expect a World Series run this year? No. Can I expect them to make the postseason? I think expectations are there to make the postseason with this club. And if the expectations are there, then you roll the dice of the postseason and see where it goes. I understand we've used this term before. It feels very Steelers. But I'd still rather them be the Steelers of Major League Baseball than a lot of other teams where it's just, hey, let's dust it off and who really cares, and that's really it, which there are a plethora of teams that they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to go with the youth movement. Does that mean you're just not going to be competitive? Because the Guardians have been doing youth for 20 years, and they've been a competitive club almost every single year.
Every year it feels like there's 13 teams in Major League Baseball that start the season with their fans having zero hope. This is not one of them, and you should appreciate that.
I thought Lima and I were friends. I did not realize that he was this close with another host here at The Fan until yesterday afternoon. More on that coming up in just over 20 minutes. However, in about 5 minutes, yep, the Browns are crazy, but I don't think they're dumb. You never tell your kids you're getting a divorce until you actually get your divorce. They know that. I'll explain why in 5 minutes on The Fan.
XTENDAV.com.
play. To learn more, contact Rivian Mental Health and Recovery at 440-989-4900 or visit rivionhealth.org.
The fight for playoff positioning is on in the Eastern Conference as Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, and the Cavs look to get real healthy for a postseason run. We are your home for the best Cavs talk in Cleveland. 92.3 The Fan.
God, John just came in here and reminded me about 24-year-old John reminded me about Mark Reynolds because I couldn't remember his name because Reese Hoskins did well last night. And Lyman made the mention to John, and we'll do this again in about last night, but Lyman made the mention to John, like, yeah, the veterans we signed during the offseason, they, like
That's
you
kind
said,
of a
like,
hope and a prayer.
They usually do well when we trade for them middle of the year. But when we sign him in the offseason, like, yeah, we'll see if the guy's got anything left in the tank. And some end up being, decent additions. Your catchers have done well in the history.
Yeah, recent years like Laureano, Josh Bell, Zanino.
But, like, I remember I was like, oh, man, Mark Reynolds. It was like from opening day on, people were like, yeah, this ain't going to work. This ain't going to work. And that was the one opening day I went as a Cleveland media member, and I said, never again. Never again, which I've talked that story many times, and it's in the archives, 923thefan.com, and on the free Odyssey app, obviously, with all the podcasts that we've done with the emerging podcast scene. Every Tuesday and Thursday is when new episodes drop. So yesterday, Adam Schefter was on ESPN. We'll get more Guardians coming up here in a little bit, I promise you that. But coming up right now is Adam Schefter on ESPN, where it 2 days in a row, we got worked into a shoot over Myles Garrett and his future. And yesterday, when Adam Schefter goes on Pat McAfee shows on ESPN, you hear this and you're thinking, okay, we nipped it in the bud.
I got a call on Tuesday night. A team called me and they're like, hey, do you see this Myles Garrett thing? I'm like, no, what? They said his option bonuses were shifted around. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, if you're shifting option bonuses around, usually there's like some trade smoke. Now, let me say this. Right away, I called the Browns. I'm like, what's going on here? And they're like, we are 100% definitely not trading him. I'm like, okay. Now, I will say this. They were adamant about it. And they're like, don't even bring it up and dignify the fact because we're not trading him. We'll see. So the great part is, it comes out, of course, Field Yates sees it, other people see it, that the contract language was modified, and everybody makes the conclusion that other teams also drew. Oh, something's going on. Again, all I can say is that the Browns were adamant to me, we are not trading Myles Garrett. This was not done to trade Myles Garrett. This was done to give us more cap flexibility. I'm just telling you, they couldn't have been stronger about it. But that's not going to discourage other people from wondering and speculating, could he be traded? And again, I'm just telling you, they told me no.
Yeah, if you know a couple that's kind of on the rocks, they've been on the rocks, and you kind of sit there and you go, well, you don't mean to judge other couples there, but maybe it's just best if they split up. But they ain't going to tell their kids until it's time. You don't want to mess with the kids' sense of humor, or you don't want to mess with the kids' senses of love and all the other things that go with it. You don't want to do that. So when it comes to the Browns, yeah, they absolutely have zero thought to trade Myles Garrett. Because you can't tell anybody that you're thinking about trading Myles Garrett. And they may have zero thought about trading Myles Garrett. But the flexibility is something that everybody else sees going, okay, they have some flexibility now. Maybe we can call about Myles Garrett.
Yeah, it's what everybody around the league thought when they retooled the contract in that way. Everybody's like, oh, so they actually would trade him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what they said they wouldn't, but you got to go by what they did, not necessarily what they said. Plus, they also, you got to remember, they always have tickets to sell. They're not gonna doom a season or a sack a Hall of Fame player before we even get into the thick of training camp or any of that if they don't have to. They're just not going to do it. Why would any team business-wise do that?
Now, I think Browns fans' temperature has changed here over the last year. I think a lot are ready to hit a reset button. I think a lot are more accepting of it. They're not cheering for a trade. There have been people going, yeah, it might make sense, but I don't think they're cheering for him to be traded or anything like that. But I think a lot of Browns fans are looking at it going, man, and I've been one of the people saying it, man, you keep trying to find a way to dig out of this mess instead of trying to find a way forward. I have to admit, letting him be traded, trading him for probably the biggest trade at the position's history and one of the bigger trades in the NFL's history. obviously you have one of the biggest trades and one of the biggest flops in NFL history, but it would be one of the bigger trades in NFL history, what you would get back and Myles Garrett going somewhere else. And it would be a reset button for you because you've tried to do this 1 foot in, 1 foot out since we found out that Deshaun Watson really isn't that good. And since you've tried to do that, I think it's played with the emotions of the fan base. I think it's played with the emotions of the fan base of just how good are we? We have this quarterback that we don't really like. We have this quarterback that's here just for business. He's not very good, so we can't even like him. And anytime we've been good has been with somebody else playing the position. And then we get other guys and we just get in great big fights over them. And we still don't think that they're going to be going very far, which we'll have some more audio about that other quarterback coming up here in a bit. But when it comes to Myles, I think a lot of people look at it as just, hey, this is maybe a reset that we could hit and then it could help. That being pointed out, hey, I'm not trying to go out there and fan the flames of trading the guy if I'm the Browns. This is a decision that's made, but Anthony, you know, if you put him, quote, on the market, if you're taking offers for Myles Garrett, you'll create a market. You'll also create a terrible feeling within your fan base here in the month of March, knowing that, hey, they don't intend on being very competitive here. This is going to be a long slog. And then that really makes Andrew Berry a lame duck. You can have, unless you have an unrealistically good draft, like he had a really good draft last time, unless you have an unrealistically good draft where every single rookie you have in the first 3 rounds ends up being a Pro Bowl, when the Pro Bowl meant something, a Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber player, unless you do something like that, you just signed it. You're done in January. That's it. If you make that, I mean, you know that. It's a lame duck season. If you were to let him go, you're telling everybody we're not going to compete. You're telling everybody there's going to be a reset. You're telling everybody there's going to be changes. And then, you know what? You just fired a head coach. You hired a new coach. You want people on his side. You want people to believe in him. And Tone, you're already taking away his best defensive player, as you say, expecting to win some football games, or at least more than 5 of what you had last year.
Yeah, I mean, I said it yesterday that, you know, the one thing holding you back from getting like a number 1 overall pick or a number 2 pick or maybe even a 3 it's just the existence of Myles Garrett. Mm-hmm. I mean, and somebody was arguing with me yesterday, like, did you watch the Pittsburgh game? He didn't make one play. And I'm like, did you watch the Pittsburgh game? The fact that he made it to the stadium is why the Browns won the game that day. Yep. Like that's how dominant a defensive force he is, right. That he doesn't even need to make plays to crater your entire offense for an entire game, which is exactly what happened at the end of the year. That's why the Browns won those last 2 games. So you got to keep that in mind, too. Look, I'm not sitting here. Oh, Ken, the way we had our conversation yesterday is I didn't show up to the station yesterday saying, I'm going to get this opinion off my chest. I'm going to say the Browns need to trade Myles Garrett. But the more and more I just continue to think about it, that the only way I think that opinion looks stupid is if Shadour is amazing. Mm-hmm. Like you've got your quarterback right here. Well, there are people out there,
at least on the internet, who think he's going to be amazing.
Hey, look, that would solve almost all the Browns' problems if he were amazing. Then if they really thought that Shadour was that special or had a chance to be a breakout, not just an average quarterback, but a franchise quarterback that can be here for the next 5+ years, okay, yeah, you wouldn't trade Myles Garrett. But you need evidence of that. You actually need more than just, flashes here and there. And look, if they get totally bowled over with huge offers, market-setting offers from other teams, I think they're probably going to trade him.
Well, and you can't get mad at me because there were people. Why do you guys keep talking about it? Because it's a possibility because they're not good.
Well, the whole league's talking about it now. That's silly.
If they won 12 games every year, this is a non-starter. This is a non-issue. This is really a non-issue. And it doesn't get brought up on ESPN. It doesn't get brought up on FS1, NFL Network, and whenever that goes away or whatever they're doing with that situation. Like, it's not going to get brought up if they win 11, 12 games every year. Like, they didn't. I know TJ Watt's name was bandied about by Steelers fans because they're Steelers fans and they're tired of going 8-9 every year, 9-8 every year. But in any realistic possibility, his name's not bandied about because they're a successful franchise. If the Browns were successful, I wouldn't have to talk about it. But I'm being forced to talk about it because they're not good. And you have this generational player that is right up there on the Mount Rushmore of pass rushers already, and he still has probably 6-7 years left of his career to go. And that might be on the low end of what I'm saying here because he is a physical freak. So if he has 6-7 years left to go on his career and he's already up there on Mount Rushmore, he could be the best to ever do it. When are you going to be able to get your act together over that time? And so he becomes this generation's Reggie White. And so then I have to keep talking about it like I did last offseason because he asked for the trade. Even before that, it got talked about. During the trade deadline, obviously it got talked about. And guess what's going to happen at this year's trade deadline? It's going to be brought up unless it's exactly how you said, unless Todd Monken is that good, unless the offensive line is gelled and they've done better, and I hope they do. But if they don't do that, if they're not able to fix all that during this offseason, and you are a middling to bad football team, yeah, it's going to get brought up because people want to see him on a competitive football team. That's the curse of being a fan right now, is you have a player and nobody wants to see him play for your team. They want to see him play with the team. Detroit's not a greater franchise than the Cleveland Browns. They're doing better right now, but they're not a greater franchise than the Cleveland Browns. They're not more popular than the Browns. But people go, oh, Detroit ought to call them because they're a competitive football team. And they're trying to keep this window open for themselves. So yeah, until we become that team and we actually open up that window again, it's not a shot, but it sounded like a shot. Fine, whatever. Until we open up that window again, yeah, we're going to kick around. Hate to say it, the idea is going to be kicked around of Myles Garrett being traded to another team for probably the biggest return for a defensive end we've ever seen. Coming up at 8:20, Daryl Ruiter. We'll talk to him about this, obviously, and wrap it up because I don't want to sit there and spend the rest of the show on this. We got Good Guardians baseball afterwards. Also, somebody messed up the national anthem yesterday on opening day. We'll play that for you at 7:20. And I thought we were friends, Tone and I. I didn't realize how close he was to another member of this station, Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
Panda. your choice. Find your fun at MGM Northfield Park.
Free-flowing traffic this morning, 176 north from 480 to West 14th, and 480 east from the Turnpike to Lee. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
Guardians opening day is just around the corner. Hear all the latest talk on the back-to-back AL Central champs right here on your home for Cleveland Sports Talk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
So usually we play some audio because we're going to get into it about the Cavs again because us and the afternoon show are just on different pages when it comes to the Cavs. Not really Jonathan. It's really just Nick. I mean, we are just at war on the Cleveland Cavaliers right now.
Are they tearing our station apart?
They must be, because it's gotten very nasty over the last – seriously, we've taken some really personal, nasty shots over the last couple of weeks about the Cleveland Cavaliers with us in the afternoon show. But that's mostly – we call it tight on the air. We're buddies. I didn't realize, though, you were buddies with maybe either Nick or Jonathan or Jake or Anthony Allant, who was on, or Daryl or Padone or John or whoever, Phelps, Baskin, I don't know, because you will not let me tell anybody who you did this with, but you were a physical therapist yesterday for one of our fine on-air staff here.
Well, I have always wondered, is there a fine line between just being a guy's guy and helping out a guy,
man's man,
and then going too far? And what I mean by that is yesterday there was an employee here at the station who was like, hey, I need some help. I need my back. My back. Can you apply this to my back? Now, I don't ever use any of this stuff. What is it, like an Icy Hot where it has the adhesive and everything?
Like a lidocaine patch?
Is that what it is? Yes, I think that's exactly what it is. And I didn't know. Okay, all right. So I lifted his shirt up. You know, fellow employee, made sure to do it in the privacy of, right in the hallway in front of everybody.
You have a chiropractor's table that you laid
Is this why you weren't on time to the meeting out in the hallway?
That's exactly why. And so it's standing upright, and I took it, and he's like, hey, no, you got to stretch it out so that it takes over occupies the most amount of space possible. Okay, so I'm kind of doing that. It's got this funny jelly feeling on my hands. I'm like, oh, this is weird. I'm going to wash my hands after this. And then I'm like, all right. And I go to the middle of the back. He goes, no, lower. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, no, lower. And now I'm making my way to the nether regions of the back of his body. And now we're starting to see some other areas of the body.
People in the hallway here?
And yeah, well, there were some shows going on, so I don't think anybody really saw it except Keith. And I think Keith was like, whoa, okay.
If Keith sees it, you're done.
This is an intimate setting here.
I'm surprised it's not on the Twitter handle.
I'm actually shocked it's not on our social media and on the website.
We do have the
local
surveillance
news.
cameras and everything to make sure people actually get here on time and everything to correspond with the check-ins. So anyway, not that that's ever been availed at times over the years.
And that they know that your key fob swiped at us.
Yeah, just have to make sure you come, before 2 minutes before the show.
There's times where I go, I was talking to Jay downstairs. Oh, we were talking about my dad. Hold on, go ahead.
So anyway, as I'm applying, I realize this is a very intimate moment. I am standing face to back of somebody else.
You're getting lower? Your face is low?
Yeah, I got to get lower. I got to really make sure to apply this. And now I've stretched it out. I have applied it as tautly as I possibly can.
He loves that word.
And immediately he's like, oh, that feels better. Immediately there's a relief there. And Keith is like, holy cow. And so next thing I know, Keith is sending texts to other employees at the station like, you believe Lima's doing this? And I'm like, I'm helping out a guy. I felt like I was springing into action. I did have to go wash my hands, and I saw some parts of a coworker I didn't think I was going to see on that particular Thursday.
It was after the show?
Yeah, it was after the show. So, would you do that for an employee? Would you go above and beyond for an employee? I mean, you do this
in the building after the show.
You do this with like your wife, your significant other, your kids. Yeah. You would do this, but would you have any problem doing it with a coworker?
I don't think I'd ask him to. I think I'd just deal with it myself until I got home, and then Liz would
almost rather do it with a stranger.
I mean, yeah. Well, no, because I'm turning 40 this summer, and that's when you get your prostate checked, right? And I was like, well, I got my general doctor, but I'm not going to. I know my general practitioner too well, so I'd rather a stranger take care of this.
Let me put it this way: I now know boxers or briefs, and I know the grooming habits. of this fellow employee.
Well, it couldn't have been.
I can identify.
All right, so this is I assume like an icy hot patch.
Yeah.
All right, because Michael Stanley once gave me BioFreeze, and it was amazing. Unpaid testimonial. Yes, he's like, try this. And I was like, okay. And it was like, oh, my God.
And where was that applied?
Totally new life. Actually, on my jaw.
Oh, okay.
And then it was applied on my back. And then I remember I got the spray, and
jawbreaker?
Liz's back hurt, and so she did the...
you had Michael Stanley apply it to
no,
this
I
another
did it.
musician?
I did it, and she had...
First Snoop.
She was in a dog pose, I guess you would say. And it ran down, and it ran down because of the spray, and it was a bad evening. Bad evening for poor Lizzie. Should have brought a towel. Anyway, okay, what Daryl wasn't here because Daryl.
No, don't do process of elimination here. Come on, I think some would prefer to remain anonymous.
Power rank your top 3 people who possibly would have Anthony apply icy hot to their back.
My other
lower back.
My other one be Tim Richards.
It almost, guys, it wasn't the back anymore at that point. It ceases to become the back when you get that low.
It wasn't me, and I got a bad back, but it wasn't me.
And I would do this for Ken.
It's not a weak back.
I would do this for Ken.
I wouldn't ask you. Thank you, but I wouldn't ask you. Tim, I'm thinking Tim, but Tim's never told me about back issues. There's no way on earth it was Jeff.
Phelps? Or
There
Thomas?
is no either one, actually. The Pink Tornado ain't letting you do it, and Jeff Phelps, no.
But let me ask you seriously. You got to do it if you're asked, right? There's no debating it. You just got to help out a brother in need.
I sit in the same place Jeff does.
I think if they've mustered up because it's got to take some form. I don't know if it's courage to ask. I don't know what the right
he probably
word
didn't want
is,
to
but
ask.
Yeah, it's at least stepping over a line of embarrassment, maybe that you don't want to do.
I know who it is.
Okay,
I know who because it ain't either of the Jeffs. And Menigan, no. I think by process of elimination, I know who it is. I'll let you say it because I think I know who it is because he's still very active.
Well, that was my thing is like who's been active recently that, we did have a stretch of good weather, so anybody could have been out in their yard or whatever.
And this guy's been taking some hits lately physically. I mean, good God, he was laid up because of practice at one point. Say, I know who it is. He agreed, okay. So I know who it is. I know who it is.
Well, it was someone who we had to talk about my hockey take with yesterday about how everybody says hockey has the best postseason in sports and nobody watches the hockey postseason. It was Andy Baskin, and I was happy to help. I'd help you again, Andy, and I don't care where you would need me to put that those adhesive strips. I saw it all, man, and I would do it again. And I think sometimes you just got to step up, help your buddy when he is in need. And
probably not a good move.
Thanks. And the level of relief I felt vindication because if you can help somebody and turn their day around,
that's nice.
Then you got to do it. Whether you're digging all over in there or finding different parts of the body, whatever you got to do, you got to do it.
Well, I've been dealing with this hamstring thing for a couple of weeks now.
Come on down. I'm the next contestant.
Yeah, you give me a rub down after the show here. I can't believe
just
you did
Miyagi my knee for me.
Listen, I throw my arm around a lot of people. Okay, I for what I'm an embracer, and I put my arm around a lot of people, and I've never done it with Tone. He's just not a touchy-feely person, and I'm surprised he asked you, and I'm surprised you said yes.
Like, put it this way.
I really am.
If we were on the golf course, and it was a scorcher of a day, and you were like, look at my skin, Anthony. I'm going to need the sunscreen. I would apply wherever you need it. You can't do it all yourself. You can't get to every part of the neck,
especially
and
how I
the
look.
back of the shoulders. If I need to caress, I will caress to get that stuff in there. There's a right way to do it, and there's a wrong way to do it. So
I'm uncomfortable with you touching me.
I think a lot of people are, but there are times when I'm the only hope.
I can't believe you saw Baskin's ass and you waited till almost 24 hours to tell me. I mean, it's been 20 hours since you saw it, and this is the first time you've told me.
Playing a little game of ass
You know
Baskin.
what? Baskin, I can tell. Good athlete. Good athlete. That Andy Baskin. There are guys that will let it all go, and things will dissipate quickly.
We have coming in hot at 9:45 today. I just want to point that out. We have the first coming in hot in like a month.
That is a guy I was happy to step in.
Okay. Congratulations to Baskin.
It kind of sounds like Ken thinks I went too far. That if you're telling me if I asked you to do it, you wouldn't do it to me.
You had face to ass at one point there.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I'm a touchy-feely guy. No, I wouldn't do it.
He smelled good.
Oh, I'm sure I don't think he's a pig. I think he's good hygienically. I don't think he's a slovenly person. But
Andy's been a media guy my entire life. TV, radio, star of stage and screen. Like he keeps it together.
Coming up, hopefully Baskin. I kind of want him in here for coming in hot. I want to see how he's feeling after something like this. Hopefully he doesn't come in here and choke me out for talking about this. Coming up at 8:20 this morning, the dangerous one, Daryl Ruiter. I can't believe you did this. Ass and Baskin. All right, coming up next, speaking of another host, why are we just afraid to go all in all the time? Do we just want good vibes and no expectations? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, about last night, 7:45, and the new Lonnie Chisenhall, hopefully without the injuries. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on the Fan.
think the Knicks live in as well. You're a top 10 team in the NBA. That's still a good team.
If
you
they
don't
play-
stink.
if they
you
play-
don't stink.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
We're going to play for you because I'm a little bit worried about I'm worried about how afraid people are to take a chance and actually try to win a championship. We're in the middle of rings culture here, for crying out loud. I am getting a couple of people, including somebody here in the station, who, Ken, can't you aim a little higher than Lonnie Chisenhall for Chase Delotter? And I go, no. People thought Lonnie Chisenhall was going to be a great player. He ended up getting banged up his entire career. Somebody in that other room happened to agree with the people sending it to me, Tone. You know who that was?
Oh, who was it?
You going to say something?
Was it Andy Baskin?
No.
Oh.
You think I should aim higher than Lonnie Chisenhall for him?
Yeah. Why not? I mean,
this is my issue, though.
I think he had, you're right. People did have high expectations of Lonnie Chisenhall. I think there were higher expectations on Chase Delotter, though. Especially last year, we were looking for that. They needed power, and they were like, well, they're going to call up the kids. And he kept being injured, and we had to settle for C.J. Kafis, who was good when they brought him up. I think the bar should be a little higher for your expectations of Chase Delotter.
This is my problem, though. If I set a higher expectation for a guy who had his first actual quote-unquote at-bats in Major League Baseball, because the postseason doesn't count, ask Zach Meisel, because he hit 2 home runs in opening day, if I put a different name to that, a bigger name, then I needed to be more realistic. Lonnie, let's start at Lonnie, and then let's see where Chase Delotter goes. Because if I throw a big name on there, when you talk Guardians, I got to make it count. Because I saw the comments yesterday. I know where you guys are. I know where some of the Guardians are. And by the way, I sympathize with you. Anthony and I do. But I look at Guardians talk the same way I look at kids. You got 3 kids. Who do you and your wife end up speaking more about? Is it the one who's got everything going for him, or is it the one that's a mess up? You talk about the screw up more. They don't hold interventions for people who have things going well for them. They hold interventions for the people who are messing up in their lives. So we hold interventions for the Cleveland Browns damn near every day, begging them to get their act together. When it comes to the Guardians, I can set my watch to the Guardians. I don't got to worry about the Guardians. They're a good, competitive club every day. They're going to pay their taxes. They're going to pay their bills. They have their job. They get their 40 hours in, and that's the way it goes. So when I make the comparison with Chase Delotter, I got to put in someone realistic, because I do watch the games, like you watch the games. He tries to watch as many games as he can. I'm just being honest here. And if I throw a bigger name in there, it's like, what are you talking about? He's played
Lonnie
one
Chisenhall,
game.
Chase Delotter's 62 home runs behind Lonnie Chisenhall right now. And Lonnie Chisenhall played for 8 years.
And because of his injury history, I hope that he ends up hitting many, many more than Lonnie Chisenhall.
Oh.
But I have to be careful with where I put expectations
Less
in
than
game
300
one.
RBIs.
In game 1 of 162.
Yeah, forever.
That's where I have to be.
You're underselling his.
But okay, that's fine. But I'm actually trying to put where Lonnie was supposed to be, where a lot of fans thought Lonnie was going to be. I'm not looking at Lonnie's entire
we don't do
career.
what he was supposed to be. We're doing, because he's been out of the game since 2018.
I can only say I'll play the card.
We're doing what he actually was.
Listen, I'm not playing what he actually was. I'm playing what the guy had potential for.
So you're just going to change your rules.
No, that was what I said. Okay, you can be as mad as you want, but I said it in the opening segment. You look mad. I know they can't see it, but you look pretty upset. Listen,
I think
know
this
what
is an asinine thing.
Okay,
that
that's
you're
fine.
Spending too much time on.
I'm spending too much time on the Guardians?
No, that's not what I said.
216-474-0092. Go ahead and tell
I'd say
Owen.
it'd be nice to finally have an outfielder that can get to 20 home runs. Because, he's only, after 2 yesterday, after 2 yesterday, he's 18 off. So it'd be nice to finally have that. And it seems like you're off to a rip-roaring start. So just stay healthy, and maybe we can actually get there and join the rest of Major League Baseball.
Just trying to look at his potential. So anyway, he's off to a good start. We'll talk more about him and about last night coming up at 7:45. Would you guys rather just not go all in? What are we afraid of? What are we afraid of? I hate to keep doing the back and forth thing with Nick. I heard this yesterday. I go, why are you guys so afraid to try to win a championship?
I have long-term doubts about the Cavs. I've never been less convinced that they're going to win a championship in the next 2 to 3 years. And I fear that in chasing something that probably never will be, they're going to give away something that could be in the deeper future, namely like Evan Mobley's future. And we've had these arguments. I'm not trying to relitigate them.
Yeah.
I have serious doubts. But I remain so wide open about being wrong about the Cavaliers and understanding, like, I put down my sword. Was it Monday or was this last week?
I think was it last week? Maybe it was Monday.
But I put down my
know.
sword. The Cavs regular season wars for me are done. There's nothing more you can glean from this, and certainly nothing you can glean on the second half of a back-to-back when everything's going against you in that game.
I thought the people looking for panic today and last night are just people that were looking to complain about something, or people to get themselves riled up about something, or the people to find an interesting angle to talk about or something like that. Last night was the farthest thing from a reflection of this Cavs team you can find.
Well, I totally agree with that. None of us were really riled up over, at least on the station, none of us were really riled up over 2 nights ago. But while we're further away, I don't see it in 2 years. And this fear, I'm catching this fear of all the Evan Mobley stuff and all this other crap. Like, if you guys want to have a big-time Evan Mobley discussion right now, I guess we can. But, Tone, like, what are we holding on to? What are we holding on to?
It's so funny, the doom and gloom on the Cavs. And I asked it yesterday. They're 14-4 in their last 18. Right now, you see Detroit won again last night. So this could be a dream come true of a run to a Eastern Conference Finals. And I know the bar keeps getting moved, and that's been contentious between the shows as well, where now apparently we're downplaying a berth to the Eastern Conference Finals if the Cavs earn it. I don't understand that for the life of me. Getting to the Final Four of your sport seems to be something you should celebrate. But either way, right now, do you know the Cavs have the 5th best championship odds on multiple of the biggest sites that there are?
To win the championship?
To win the championship. Like,
pretty good.
I don't know, that they're ahead of the Lakers. Like, they have Luka and LeBron and Austin Reeves. Like, are you telling me there's a slew of teams you'd rather be than the Cavs?
No.
Like, I would ask Nick that. Like, yeah, would you bet against them to win the title over the next 3? Yeah, probably. It's hard to win championships. There's a lot of Cleveland teams. You can just do that every year and bet against the Cleveland teams to win the championship. You could also do that with 98% of teams in sports. That's normally a pretty safe bet. And yeah, if you're trying to carve out an opinion on Sports Talk Radio where you'll be right, say your team is not going to win the championship. You'll be right. You'll probably be right. They're really hard to win. We have one in my lifetime, and that might be all we end with.
I don't think that he's...
So, I don't think I can bet against the Buckeyes winning the championship every year. You're probably going to be right. They're probably not going to win it most years.
I do think there's a difference. I think that
congratulations, you've carved out an opinion that you get to be right on and get to pat yourself in the back for.
I don't think Nick's being negative to be negative. I don't think he's doing that. Like, I think a lot of guys who do this, whether it be podcast, anybody content sports-wise, you're negative because you don't want to be wrong. I think it's lazy. I think it's cheap. Nick's not being that. Nick's never been that. Nick is not lazy. Nick is not cheap. Nick is afraid. And I don't know what we're afraid of. This is what this league's about. It's going and winning championships. It's rings culture. That's what we're all obsessed with. We're all obsessed with taking that chance and going and win that ring. Like, you could still keep Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, and you could win 40 games a year, and I guess we'll just be happy with what they were. Like, at some point, you got to grow up. I can't believe we could give up this future with Evan Mobley. Yeah, let's see where we're at. I don't want to give up a future with Evan Mobley, but you know what? Let's see where we're at in the postseason, because we're starting to become adults here with this basketball team, and if he can't raise his level to a championship level, I got to find other people who can.
Well, and then look, they traded for Donovan Mitchell. A rare opportunity to get a top 10 player in the NBA. Last year was first team All-NBA. Yeah. A rare opportunity to get somebody who raises his game in the postseason, is capable of doing everything he can put up 50 points on one leg. We've seen it happen multiple times in his playoff career. Guys that are insanely difficult to get, they went and got him. If you're telling me they should not have attempted to get him because today you don't think they can win a championship, then tell me when you ever go all in on somebody, and tell me the players that you think you would be better suited with. Because I guarantee you start naming those players that you'd rather have than Donovan Mitchell in the NBA, I'd tell you, you can't get him, you can't get him, you can't get him, you can't get him. And so if your answer to all of that is, well, don't ever try to make a trade like this, then fine. You just want to live in the world of the feel-goods. You just want to live in the world of the plucky upstart team that has grit and, oh, that was a great season, and also equally had zero chance to win a championship. And in those cases, nobody would care. There'd be total apathy. No one would go to the games if you had a team of Colin Sexton, Darius Garlands every year. You'd have zero shot to even be this. The Cavs are fifth best odds to win the championship.
I just think people are afraid to go all in because they're afraid to be serious. And I don't know why we're afraid to be serious about a team that has a bunch of professionals on it that is supposed to have real expectations. It might get nasty. It might get mean-spirited. That's what comes with expectations. It's just the way it goes. And I got to be willing to step into that arena, and so do you. 216-474-0092. Would you rather just not go all in as a Cavs fan? And one of everyone's greatest fears come to life yesterday afternoon during opening day. By the way, that Cavs conversation brought to you by the wonderful folks at Surfside Hard Iced Tea, who ask you to please enjoy that hard iced tea responsibly. Clark Kellogg, Ohio basketball legend, 9 o'clock on the Fan. Peter and Company, Julie.
Texas 79-77. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
So do you just want to take her easy? Honestly, do you just not want to go all in? Because this is the price of expectations. A raised heart rate. At times you say things maybe you don't mean because you're angry. This is the price of trying to go for success. It's not the price of success. You haven't been that successful so far, but this is what it is. And I say, yeah. And one of the things that I'm getting bothered by, Tone, and it makes it tough because you and I have just agreed with each other the entire time. And we've been basically in lockstep about the Cavs over the last 2 years now. You and I. So we spend a lot of time just agreeing with each other on this. Is if you want to, everything can just be hunky-dory, but eventually I think fans will get tired of that, and they just don't want to admit it. But, like, you got to go for the gusto at some point here, and you've done what I think is necessary. I mean, there's been a couple of missteps, obviously, but you've done what I think is necessary. And I go, what are we holding on to? Like, I want Evan Mobley to be a good player for the Cavs for a long time. But if he's not ready and our timelines just aren't adding up, I'm going to have to do what I have to do. I'm sorry. I have to go try to win a championship if I'm the Cavs. And so we're holding on to this, and I'm going, what are we holding on to?
And I guess I would ask, how many non-LeBron teams in the history of the organization have had the team where they have the fifth best championship odds this late in the season? How many non-LeBron teams have had an All-NBA player who has been top 10 since the day he's been here?
I mean, maybe, but we always say, like Ron Harper always say, if there wasn't Jordan, if there wasn't Wayne Embry, right? Brad Doherty will say the same thing. So there have been teams that
how do we look back at those teams?
I shouldn't say none.
How do we look back at those teams, though?
Coulda. And we love them. We love those players.
Also, amazing seasons that didn't end well. Congratulations. That's 99% of teams in sports. Their seasons end badly.
But look at how
that doesn't make them some of the biggest failures of all time.
But look at how the cornerstones of those franchises are. And again, I know it's a different sport, and maybe we'd be flirting with trading some of these guys. Actually, you did with one, but that was all craziness. I mean, Ron Harper certainly holds it against Wayne Embry, even though he went on to great success with the Bulls. But he holds it against Wayne Embry, and you could tell when Brad Doherty has joined us, doesn't really like talking about him. Doesn't really like it. Like, Brad Doherty's a very successful individual. I don't want to use the term bitter, but there's definitely a bad memory there of what could have been against the Bulls, against whoever in the late 80s, early 90s with that Cavaliers basketball team. I don't want to leave anything on the floor. If we don't win it, fine. But, guys, we can go out there and we could be a middle-of-the-road 7 seed for years, and we could have all the chains and fun after the game and player of the game stuff.
You'd be totally irrelevant.
But you'd be irrelevant. And in this sport, in this league, and with this owner, he is not interested in being irrelevant. He is interested in doing anything it takes to try to win a championship. And in this day and age, I adore it. And so go ahead. If a move has to be made.
Yeah, we rip teams. It's so weird. We rip teams when they don't go all in.
Yes.
And then this team did go all in. And it's like there's all this buyer's remorse right now. And people are so insanely down on a team that I think is about to make a run. Like, do they have flaws? Of course they do. My thing is I watch the other teams too. Maybe it's some of our fans don't watch the other teams. Mm-hmm. Like some of these people that are just total haters of the Cavs, maybe they don't watch the other teams. I watch the Knicks, who are having another really good year. Mike Brown, really good coach, and their fans don't believe in them. I watched Detroit. Detroit won again last night, by the way, which is good for trying to match up against them in the second round. Their fans do not believe in that team either. I know Boston fans who, listen, that's a team that has won a championship with part of their core, part of their nucleus, and they are uneasy about they just beat Oklahoma City. Well, and I know some of their fans that are uneasy. So maybe the reason why I'm not harder on the Cavs is I know that these other teams have a bunch of bugaboos and have issues with them as well.
And I don't treat them all the same. And people get upset. They go, you don't treat them all the same. I go, no, I don't, because there's different circumstances there. I'll say this because I know we want to play some music for everybody because our worst fears were realized by somebody yesterday on opening day of all things as Americans, as humans, to be honest with you. Like, I treat the Guardians different. The Guardians don't have a salary cap. There's only so much that they can do. They're a ticket-driven organization. if after this winter you have a salary cap and you have David Blitzer there, I will treat the Guardians differently. I will condone and go after and say, you guys got to try to strike while the iron's hot. But you've proven over and over again that you really can't afford it. Or you've said it so many times, I finally just believe you. Okay, fair. When it came to the Browns, I sat here and dealt with nasty messages and all the other stuff because I did not want Deshaun Watson. Just because I didn't want Deshaun Watson, and yeah, I'm leery of the Texans, certainly. But just because I didn't want Deshaun Watson, and yeah, I've been proven right, doesn't mean if there's an opportunity to get somebody else, I'm not going to use Deshaun Watson as something to make me afraid of somebody else in the future. I got to look at it case by case. And it's the same thing with the Cavs. If this doesn't work out with the Cavs, I'm not going to sit here and go, well, you tried it with Donovan Mitchell 10 years ago and it didn't work. No. If there's a different opportunity, I can't be afraid of the history. I got to learn a little bit from the history. Maybe there's things that I can take from it, but I have to be willing to do what's necessary to try to win a championship. This is what we're all here for. We live vicariously through these teams. It's not enough to just open up the stadium and open up the arena and have people walk in. You got to go for it.
And I don't know what it is, Kenny, because I'm sitting here excited about the playoffs that are about to start in 3 weeks. Like, I am pumped. And I love the sport of basketball.
Yeah.
I think these playoffs are going to be amazing. I keep looking at some of the potential first-round matchups. I know I've told people that the reason I love the NBA playoffs more than any of the other playoffs is there's just so many more big games every night. It's appointment viewing. And people are like, oh, the first round's appointment viewing? I'm like, have you seen some of the potential matchups that we could see? We could see Kevin Durant versus LeBron and Luka in the first round. Like, yeah. There's a bunch of legacy stuff that is going to be going on if you care about sport. So, yeah, I am really pumped about this, and I think the Cavs have a shot to go deep. So, of course, I'm excited about the postseason, and to hear other people, other shows, other media members, other fans just essentially poo-poo all of it, like they're not going to win the title, who cares? I'm like, then how do you guys get excited about the Browns or Guardians ever? How do you guys get excited about any teams that aren't Ohio State?
I've seen a lot of Cleveland teams lose. I've seen them lose in dramatic fashion. I'm just not afraid of losing anymore. I recommend, or I really respect. I recommend going for it, and I really respect the team that's going for it. And I really respect the Cavaliers, even if it doesn't work out. And it may not. Like, they don't just hand out championships. I really respect them for going for it, and I admire them for it. You would not be a fan of this. Yesterday, this is opening day. This is at the Mets game, opening day yesterday.
Yeah.
This is a man named Christopher Jackson. He was George Washington in the original run of Hamilton. I've never seen Hamilton, and I never will. I'm not a musical guy. Blues Brothers is about as far as I go. But this is Christopher Jackson. He sang the national anthem with the Mets-Pirates game, or tried to sing the national anthem at the Mets-Pirates game yesterday.
So proudly we hail, we're so gallantly streaming.
Audio courtesy of Misery.
And Peacock.
I beg your pardon. So that is where things started to go awry.
Yes,
and it is one suggest. Of the, listen, I don't sing. I'm not a good singer. If I could sing, I don't think I'd ever sing the national anthem. Because when you see it go, like when Carl Lewis did it, that's a famous one. When Mo Cheeks had to walk over to that poor girl and help her with the national anthem that one time in the NBA game, that's one of the most terrifying things ever. I don't think I could ever recover from something like that. I don't know how I would recover on the fly. Like, I was there for the Macy Gray one at the Hall of Fame game, and people were livid.
Yeah, as well they should have been.
And I don't think they were true. I think they weren't true. Some terrible things were said about Macy Gray and her state at the time, which I don't believe were true whatsoever. It's just there was reverb. You hear it back. You get mixed up. It's a hard song to sing, and I think it's one of the greatest fears of anything.
I have always thought when people step up to the plate, quite literally, to sing this song, I always think, okay, you're brave, and there is a spectrum here. You're a bit of a narcissist, and you fancy yourself as a performer, and this is all you can do. Because there are a lot of people that think they can sing, and then they do the national anthem, which is not an easy song.
No, it's not.
I would advise against it for a lot of you. You should probably try to perform more than just karaoke in front of your friends before you think you can get up on the mic in front of a sporting event and that size of a crowd and sing the national anthem. I have seen it go very poorly. I'm at that marathon every year. I've seen it go very well, and I've also seen it go very poorly.
You know, there's a process for a lot of this, though. It's not just guys walking out of the stands. Like, they auditioned for this. And this is not like a...
And there are people that can do it just like there are people that can throw passes in training camp when nobody's coming after them. And when they allow tackling, it's a different story.
How do you fix this on the fly?
Well, that's the other thing.
Do you just tell everybody in the stadium, hold on, let me get this right, restart the music? What do you do?
We've seen people do that. We've seen people stop right away and try to get their key. I think Adele at one time did a performance, and she's like, stop, I am off key. And it's awkward for a second, and then everybody's like, what a pro. Because now we're going to make sure we're getting the best version of Adele. But when you screw up the words here, I'd be worried that, oh my God, how do you recover? How do you find the right words again?
Call somebody who knows. There's one guy I could think who would know. Are we allowed to have Hayden on?
Well, he would be somebody who I'd consider. He's not in that narcissist category. He's actually somebody who I've seen be able to pull it off and is now being able to make a living.
I love how you're saying, well, if we were able to get him, then you're going to have to answer. Well, we're all narcissists to some level.
Yeah.
If we have a show named after you with both of our names on it, we're a little bit narcissistic. So it's okay to say that. John has his number. Get a hold of Hayden Grove. Make sure he's up, and if he could talk, because I know he's a singer. So I don't.
What would you say?
I don't know if he was up all night last night singing to people.
Who's failed at this the most miserably? Right, like the
Roseanne.
But that was a gag.
Yeah, that was on purpose.
That was an Andy Kaufman
Fergie's
gag.
Fergie's was
Carl Lewis
was a different tempo.
Honestly,
but I always thought Carl Lewis kind of had fun at his own expense. As part of it, and I thought that was more charming.
Yeah.
I didn't look at him. I know he got blasted. I was like, man, he screwed up. He probably had no business doing this in the first place, got talked into it, and was trying to be a patriot.
All right, we got him here. Very quickly, we got him.
All right.
Hayden Grove on the Make It Right Call Right hotline. Hayden, hello.
Good morning, fellas. I got to be honest with you. I probably am a narcissist, so I'll take that.
A vaunted entertainer in Northeast Ohio. Of course, he was on. Was it season 27?
Yes.
Yes, he was on. He was on The Voice on NBC. Hayden Grove joining us on the show. Friend of Michael Bublé. Everybody knows I like Michael Bublé, and I like Hayden too.
I think he's going to be a stand-in for Bublé at one point if he ever gets sick and has a big performance.
How many times, like that guy with Journey?
Journey, yeah.
How many times have you sang the national anthem here in Cleveland?
Oh man, it's been a lot over the last year, especially. I did one at 5, like Anthony said. I did one at like 6 o'clock in the morning at the Cleveland Marathon. I think that's the hardest one I've ever done because we did I had a wedding the night before, and on very, very little sleep. So I've done a lot. I've been fortunate.
Be honest with us. Have you ever messed it up on accident?
I haven't messed it up in terms of the words.
Okay.
But I've had some bad notes, yeah, for sure.
What do you do? Do you just do the Adele thing and then that's it? Is that what? You weren't there. Let me explain. I didn't know this. Lima said Adele stopped herself and said, "I'm in the wrong key. We got to restart the song."
But this was not for the anthem.
No, this is just
performance-wise.
So what do you do?
Well, I think there are two schools of thought. I think the Adele school of thought is a good one because Harry Connick Jr. said at one time, he's like, this isn't brain surgery. Like, we can stop and start over and it's going to be okay. Like, it's not going to be a huge deal. Like, it happens. But I thought the guy yesterday did a really good job. I mean, he just kept plowing through. He was like, okay, like, I went to the wrong lyrics, but then he got right back on track. So I think in that situation where the track is behind you and everything's going on, like, I know people will be upset that he forgot the words, but like it didn't go off the track completely. It swayed a little bit, but then he got back on track. So there are two schools of thought there, and I think either one's acceptable. I think the one that isn't acceptable is there was one recently where like the girl was like, oh my gosh, I messed up, and the song kept going, and like it just was a train wreck. So as long as you either stop the train and put it back on the tracks, or you just kind of let it wobble and then keep plowing forward, I think that's the way to go.
Okay, have you ever forgot the words to any song?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What do you do when you forget the words of the song? Do you just hold the mic out and let them try to sing it with you and then get back on track?
You can do. That's a great way to do it. Let the fans do it, or you just make up words and then hope they don't know them. Because that's the problem with the national anthem is that everybody knows the words. So you screw up, they'll make sure that you know.
Well, you just know, especially opening day. See, this is the courage that you have to be able to do opening day, because there are going to be 16 of these or 15 of these to start the season. And you know that this stuff lives on the worse it gets. Now, I don't know if this one's probably not going
This is the one they put on the broadcast, though. They're not putting Tuesday night randomly.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Real quick, before I let you go, when's the next time you're singing the national anthem?
Oh, man, I don't know if I have any plans to at the moment. I am available, Cavs and Monsters, so...
we know people, Hayden. Actually, Hayden knows people.
I've tried to keep my mouth motoring for them. So I would love to do the playoffs.
Let me ask you this: maybe because I was talking to Ken about this yesterday. When it comes to people singing national anthems, would it behoove you if you can't get on the field to do the national anthem? Could you learn the Canadian national anthem, and maybe that would be your audition?
Dude, I know. Dude, you want me to make people mad this morning?
Yes.
I know the Canadian national anthem very well, and it's a better song than the United States.
I'm not face, Katie.
We know who he was rooting for in the Olympics.
Hayden, you can't say that. We're at the end of the segment. You can't do this.
No. Obviously, the national anthem is the more meaningful. I'm talking about pure song. If it's just you're looking at the notes, if you're looking at the notes, the Canadian national anthem is a more enjoyable song.
Put it on the poll. Which is the better national anthem? After Hayden Grove said.
I'm gonna let Hayden do it real quick.
That's not what I
agree with Hayden.
Not what I said.
All right. Would you like
What's going on?
Would you like to give us a few bars of the Canadian national anthem?
Yes, please, right now.
Oh no! I don't want to get myself in that much trouble.
You don't want to sing the Canadian?
Don't make me sing.
Give me.
Oh, Canada, our home and name. I'm gonna get blasted for this.
No, you can. No, you were. Well,
you
when you
put
say
your hand on the heart for Canada.
No, you don't put your hand.
You stand in
put on my lower back like basket.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's a callback.
All right. I'm not gonna tell. I was gonna tell people where to find you on Twitter, but that's not a good idea now.
I'm gonna get blasted.
I was gonna have him power rank anthems.
What do you think of the Russian one? The old
God
Soviet
bless
Union.
America.
No. God bless the United States of America. That's all I got to say.
We'll say in Rocky IV.
All right. Hayden, thank you for the time.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Hayden ended up being on the Make It Right Call Car Right hotline about last night, and probably some very patriotic but nasty tweets about Hayden coming up in moments on The Fan.
embarrass them. We got to be better on defense.
It won't matter till April. I think we know that. Y'all gonna write us off. We could go 82-0, no one would care.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. How he couldn't please his wife, so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
The Guardians, they won opening day. They won 6-4 over the Seattle Mariners on the West Coast last night. Chase Delotter, 2-home run game, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about Rhys Hoskins going 3 for 3 last night. Rhys Hoskins, former Phil, postseason legend. He has the chops to do what it takes to get Cleveland to the postseason, but he could be your first real free agent signing over the last 5 to 7 years that is really going to make an impact. First since probably Edwin Encarnacion.
You have said this with such conviction, I'm going to agree with you. At first, I wanted to say, well, we had Mark Reynolds before and other guys like that, which I couldn't remember his last name. But you know what? You like Rhys Hoskins so much. He's a former Philly. I think that's why you like him.
He is the only active baseball player whose jersey I own.
That's all? Really?
I mean, I don't know. I didn't spend I guess I have a Nolan Arenado Rockies t-shirt jersey, but he's the only real baseball jersey that I own of an active player.
You're a Phillies fan? Is it the gray away one?
No, it's the home pinstripes.
Oh, usually people like the gray away one.
Nobody likes the gray away ones. Everybody likes the powder blues.
When I went to Reading Phillies games, it was all gray away.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Go ahead there.
When Hoskins plays, when he plays enough games, I know he's 33 now, but when he plays enough games, he brings real pop to the lineup.
And he walks a lot, too.
Yeah, so it's a great start. I mean, I look, the unfortunate part of all this is that I think a fraction of the Guardians fans actually saw it to its conclusion because it was a Thursday night and it was so late. But what an awesome way to start the season, because not only did you get that performance out of Delotter, you got look, Juan was terrible, and you still won. That's your leadoff guy, playing terrible. Jose was whatever, but then, you got your bullpen to do just enough. Armstrong gave up the home run, but outside of that, your bullpen, which is, we're wondering if they're going to be shaky this year for the first time in a while, right? We don't know how good the bullpen's going to be, and to see them kind of hold firm was pretty good for an opener, I think.
Do you have? Is it just Apple TV tonight, or is it also Guards TV as well? Is it just Apple?
It's just Apple.
So now they played last night at 10:10. They play at a decent hour for those who have to wake up early. 9:40.
And on a Friday night.
And on a Friday night.
30 minutes early.
And you can only see it on Apple TV. Lordy. Okay.
Gavin Williams time.
Did we have to do that so we got another All-Star game in 2019? Was that part of the deal? Like, hey, you guys we want a whole day of baseball. That means you guys are starting in the 10 o'clock spot.
We had to get rid of Wahoo, the Indians, and bad start times. All of that for the All-Star game.
I really should have went to the All-Star game. Really should have
We're
went.
going to give up all of that?
I didn't go. Go ahead.
Paul Skeens, 5 earned runs, 2/3 of an inning, arguably the second worst thing to happen in that game. It was really not his fault. His center fielder, O'Neal Cruz, he didn't play well. He missed a couple of balls out there. Actually had Joel Embiid tweeting about him. Joel Embiid said, get ready to learn DH, O'Neal Cruz.
Ooh.
But Paul Skeens' ERA ballooned from 1.96, career ERA, 1.96 to 2.10. His season ERA is 67.50. He has already tanked his Cy Young reigning campaign.
For this year?
It's over already.
So he's not going to win Cy Young.
He has to throw 22 straight scoreless innings to get to what his ERA was last year, and he's not going to do that.
Who was nipping at his heels? Who finished second for
last
NL
year,
Cy Young?
I think it was, Christopher Sanchez, my boy Christopher Sanchez, 10 Ks, 6 shutty yesterday.
What did you say
Christopher
there at the end?
Sanchez, 10 Ks, 6 shutty yesterday.
6 shutty. Is this? Have the kids been saying this for a few years now?
It's different.
Shutty.
It's different. Okay, I'll take it. Whatever. You're a ball player.
I just loved watching our cohort in Pittsburgh, friend of the show, enemy of the show, Andrew Filipponi, losing his mind because this is all he's been looking forward to was opening day. Mm-hmm. And the only thing he cares about in life, it seems like right now, is Skeens. And he was out of there, didn't make it 3 outs.
Now you're 24 now, right? Yeah. When's the last time you played baseball?
I was 18, so the summer after my senior year.
But you called Summer League Baseball into college.
Yeah.
Do the kids still say when they hit home runs, did they drop bleep, the D word? Did they drop that? Because when I was in college.
They say bleep slap.
Okay, so all right, so you're kind of in there. All right, so because in my day, when a guy hit a moonshot, they said he dropped something. That's what he did. That was the University of Akron back in the day. Well done there, John. Paul Skeens losing the Cy Young already in one day is a very, very, very strong
They say
opinion.
you can't win the Cy Young
But
in
you
one
can
game.
lose it.
You can sure lose it, and he has lost it.
8:20, Daryl Ruiter joins us on the show. He might have crossed him off then, but who has he crossed off? We'll answer that with Daryl coming up at 8:20. And Todd McShay might have finally let the cat out of the bag on why Shadour fell and fell and fell to the Browns in the 5th round. Hear why in 5 minutes on The Fan. K&K Heating and Cooling, K&K.
77. Listen to The Fan Rewind weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
You know what? I am catching serious hell because either A, I didn't tell him who I was comparing Chase Delotter to on social media, or B, I dare say Lonnie Chisenhall, and I'm going, it was just the potential. It was the potential for him, Tone. That's all.
Well, I was just paying attention to the 4 shutties that our pitchers were able to throw yesterday in that game against Seattle.
That's a great word for it. I like John. Hell with it. I didn't like that he said the Canadian national anthem was better than the national anthem.
Yeah, screw him, and I'm not putting his mic on so I can defend
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Well, Ken's a Patriot.
I don't blame him.
And as we know, Owen, you're a veteran.
Owen's a veteran, damn it.
Most veterans are Patriots, right?
Most of them.
Benedict Arnold's the only one I can think of.
Unless
that
they get into
be.
politics, and if they're on one side, then they're considered not a Patriot anymore. Look, it's Friday. Okay, what do you want from me?
It's coming in hot at 9:45. We haven't done it in a long time. It's coming up at 9:45.
It's coming back?
You're here.
Oh, here we
finally.
go.
You're
here
finally here.
I hope you guys have been practicing.
Or they've gotten out of practice because you're finally here. You and your high school basketball over there.
A lot of high school.
2 home runs.
Doing an all-star game today or something.
Or the grind sandwich championship.
That's
or whatever
right.
the hell it was.
Or the All-Ohio games.
Or going over the All-Ohio, where apparently there were over 1,000 All-Ohio recipients.
Before we play this Todd McShay audio, can we ask Clark Kellogg that at 9 o'clock?
Yes. It's one of the most accomplished high school athletes in the history of the state of Ohio.
Lima told us during one of the breaks that when LeBron James was All-Ohio, there were 300 All-Ohioans.
Yeah, actually that year he was not first team. LeBron James played a season in which he was not.
Because he had to set out a bunch of games.
He got the suspensions, yeah.
Remember?
Really? That's why he didn't get voted All-Ohio.
Had to get that H2.
Okay. All right.
So wait.
That's like when people go, Josh Gordon, and you go, yeah, take one look at the 2014 with Josh Gordon. You tell me Josh Gordon won the best wide receiver to ever do it for the Browns.
So there was a year where our former producer was All-Ohio, and there was a year where LeBron James was not.
Technically, you are right. How many Ohioans were there this winter, though, in basketball?
There were, I think, did I say 800?
There were over 800.
Over 800.
I'll talk to Clark Kellogg about that coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. Daryl Ruiter here in about 15 minutes. So, Todd McShay, Lima found this because Lima's always going to find a way. And he found this, Todd McShay. This is yesterday or a couple of days before. Where was it on the Ringer? You went and found it. When did Todd McShay say what we're about to play? Do you know when did he say it?
Yeah, it was 2 days ago.
It was 2 days ago. Okay, here's Todd McShay. We've always been wondering why Shadour ended up with us in the 5th round. Well, Todd McShay has an answer.
This is the plan. The plan is we're going to stick at 3 and take Abdul. And the Shadour thing blew up, and I knew the behind stories and some of the things that happened in some of the meetings, and it wasn't good. I didn't know he was going to fall to the 5th. I thought 2nd round is probably where it's going to happen. But then you start to hear people in the league, and you understand the why. My point is the Giants played it perfectly. Let's get our guy here, just like the Cardinals sitting there at 3.
When I heard that, Kenny, I thought, man, we have gotten in so many discussions about vast conspiracies, NFL, all these GMs conspiring to hold him back because they don't like Prime or whatever it was, or the agent thing, the fact that he didn't have an agent, so it was a little different. And I kept hearing all this going, I got to say, I think he might have just tanked the interviews.
I like Todd McShay because he came on the show and he's a really nice guy, even though he was willing to use his friend's AirPods, which I thought was weird. But at the same time, you were able to put a bandage on Baskin's lower back right near his butt. But that's a conversation you have to listen to.
For coming in hot?
If you would want to. On the free Odyssey app with the rewind function. And by the way, that rewind function is powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. I will be able to say rewind function at some point without having to really focus on it. Either way, I believe him. I'm not calling him a liar. He ain't a liar. 5th round, 5th, Anthony, 5th.
Yeah.
Not day 2.
Yeah.
Not 3rd round. 5th round, middle of the day, day 3. What on earth could he have done in them interviews?
Well, that's what Todd said that. Todd's like, the tape was not 5th round. He said he was essentially so bad from the stories he heard throughout the interview processes from talking to the people around the NFL. And doesn't that seem like the most logical thing that happened? It's not that we were like the whole league was starting to pass these narratives around that he's not smart or that, the skill isn't there or the work ethic is bad. No, he told these teams what they didn't want to hear. And everybody at home and everybody on YouTube that is listening, you can determine whether it's bad that the league puts that much stock into that stuff. That's fine. But there's a reason that when these players hook up with agencies, I know you're shaking your head, but you know this to be true.
I think it's silly.
But hold on. Okay. There is a reason that when all these players sign with agencies, they educate them on the interview process and they go through these mock interviews. They didn't do any of that. Clearly, they almost bragged about how much they were not going to be a part of that process. And by not going with an agent, he was going to do it his way, which to some extent I think is admirable. I don't think it was smart, and I think cost him a lot of money. But I think, hey, he was going to do it his way. And I think his fans love that about him. I think his fans embrace that, and that's what makes Shadour Sanders unique and stand above the crowd. But it wasn't going to help you in that interview process, and he got docked for it big time. It wasn't the talent that he got docked. It wasn't that he was stupid, which some people have tried to make it seem, or that he doesn't have a work ethic. None of that stuff was true. This was always the most obvious, that he went with a terrible strategy during those interviews, and the league got very scared. Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, but
you said you're shaking your head saying you don't agree.
Because I think it's
what
embellished.
Else was it?
I think it's embellished.
So what was it?
Because Anthony, if everybody keeps saying, well, the tape's not that bad, the tape's not that bad, and I got Greg Cosell saying, the tape's fine. If the tape is fine, unless he went up there and decided to be Don Rickles against all these general managers that he met, that might be the only way I would ever believe that.
I think he probably said that I should start week 1. I should be QB1.
Well, I mean, honestly,
if you heard that, if you're a GM, you're like, well, no, there's got to be a process.
Well, hold on, but when we were talking about him being taken in the top 10, wouldn't you have sat across the table from a lot of general managers? You yourself, as a radio show host, I know you're not Shadour, but you yourself go, yeah, he's starting week 1. I mean, good God, look at what you have in front of you. Yeah, he starts week 1.
Yeah, but that's
the way he probably would have felt with some of these teams.
There's always a fine line, right?
Could have started week 1 with us. We just wasted everybody's time.
There's always a fine line in any walk of life when you go for a job on how to dress, how to talk, and just flat out, Shadour wasn't going to play that game.
But
he was not going to play it. He didn't play it, almost famously.
But that's not.
It's almost to the point. I don't know how you're like suggesting any of this is incorrect when his own fan base is like, we love that about him.
I didn't
and
say.
now we're going to act like he did it like everybody else. He clearly did.
How many times do I have to say that Todd McShay wasn't lying and that I believe him for it to sink in? I just wouldn't believe that it's the only reason he fell to 5th when the tape's fine. I don't understand that, because there's plenty of guys who go in there and they do a terrible job in the interviews, and they might fall a little bit, not to the 5th round. Not behind Dylan Gabriel.
Well, they'll always make allowance for the physical.
What on earth could he have done?
They'll also make allowances for physical gifts.
And so if the tape's fine, then why did he fall to day 3?
Well, the tape might have been, but his gift, he does not have the cannon arm. He does not have, that athleticism, that build. Like, he doesn't have any of that stuff. So that was always something that was striking, just like Ty Simpson. The same stuff I hear about Ty Simpson.
Dylan Gabriel needs to get out of football and get into politics. Because clearly he's the most dynamic speaker that you've ever heard in your life, and he should be hosting this show every morning, and then he should be getting into the world of politics.
I know you're being sarcastic, but that's exactly right.
I'm not. If we're going to take one thing that far and go that crazy with it, then I can go that crazy and take it that far with Dylan Gabriel.
Kenny, you just said yesterday when it came to the combine stuff and the pro days, like there's a reason you want to be there in person because you want to absorb everything. You want to pay attention to body language. Doesn't it kind of sound like Shadour, all that stuff probably wasn't that good?
Oh, I can't imagine it was, because if it was, it would have been higher. But falling to the 5th round, I still contend that, yes, it had to be part of the interviews. I've been beaten over the head with it. I don't disagree with Todd McShay, or I don't disbelieve Todd McShay. I don't think Todd McShay is a liar. But to fall to day 3, for the love of God, to buy into some of the other stuff. I just think there's got to be other things there. I can't say collusion, even though the league's colluded against people before. I can't prove it, so I can't say it.
But when it comes to getting a quarterback in the draft, the collusion never made sense to me, because if anything, you are gonna rejoice if you get a quarterback above your rival. You'll do anything it takes. You'll overlook stuff to do that because you think that would give you the upper hand. You're not going to conspire with your rival to do that.
And to go back into this, I mean, I have to go, and clearly there's something about him that does seem to rub certain people the wrong way. I mean, when I had Jason in here, when you were on one of your trips for basketball, I know that sounds mean. I did not mean that to come out that way. I'm just annoyed by other things, obviously. When you were on one of your trips for basketball, Jason and I were here, and we didn't really have a knockdown drag out because I wasn't going to sit there and yell at him to expose his sources, because he was going to yell at me to expose my sources if I did that, because we have heard different things about Shadour Sanders during the 2025 season. And so that's why I become annoyed. There is clearly something about him that does rub some people the wrong way. But anything I've seen, I haven't been rubbed the wrong way.
But I think
and some of the people I talk to have not been. Guys in uniform have not been rubbed the wrong way of the guys I talk to.
And it sounds like that stuff got under the microscope in that intimate one-on-one session or whatever it was. When he did those interviews, it sounds like he tanked the interviews.
All I know
That's
is
all
that
it is.
This is a position where the good ones are so few and far between anymore. For all the reasons that if you listen to this show, we've told you a million times over. The owners in this league are obsessed. Now, we have the most obsessed owner with finding a quarterback, without a doubt. The owners in this league are obsessed. And he fell to the 5th round over interviews. Come on. No. There's something else that has to be a part of this.
I keep hearing something else, but this to me is the most logical.
I don't know what it is. I can't prove it, and those are supposedly, even though they've opened up everything with the combine, they aren't going to open that up.
I think if it is common knowledge, like many reporters have now suggested, and now Todd McShay, who can obviously pick up the phone and call any GM in the league, and he has heard this, I think it's going to be a cautionary tale. They're going to say, do the opposite of whatever Shadour did forevermore, or else you too will have the chance to have your gifts kind of squandered, and you'll have to fall, and you'll be behind the 8 ball where you're the 4th team quarterback throwing the ball, boys.
So you're telling me that these guys wanted to prove a point, and they wanted to use Shadour Sanders to prove a point with it?
I don't think it's no. I think it will be used to prove.
That sounds like that.
No, you got it wrong. I think it's to prove a point going forward that this is why you hire an agent. This is why you have to play their game. They're the decision makers. You do not control the process. You know, we already knew that there were only a few teams that he really wanted to go to. What if he expressed that right from the onset? What if he's telling NFL teams like, well, what about that guy ahead of me? I'm better than him. Well, yeah, teams don't want to hear that. They probably don't want to hear that to that extent.
Is the best player available when the running back is the best player available at number 6 overall? We'll ask Daryl about that in 5 minutes on The Fan. Ken Carman here.
no trouble in beating up on Arkansas 109-88, and Purdue avoids the upset, getting by Texas 79-77. Get all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone during this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
I'm going to dump it anyway.
No, it's fine.
I don't know what you did. Coming in hot, coming up at 9:45. Are we ready to welcome in Daryl? We are. I got the thumbs up. Daryl Ruiter joins us right now on the show. And who's he brought to you by?
Owen? Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Outstanding. Daryl, hello.
Hello, boys.
All right, we just had a big fight. We played some Todd McShay audio. Can we get that rounded back up for him? I know that when I hit the dump, I probably messed some things up. All right, here we go. Todd McShay on the ringer. Daryl, listen closely.
This is the plan. The plan is we're going to stick at 3 and take Abdul. And the Shadour thing blew up, and I knew the behind stories and some of the things that happened in some of the meetings, and it wasn't good. I didn't know he was going to fall to the 5th. I thought second round is probably where it's going to happen. But then you start to hear people in the league, and you understand the why. My point is the Giants played it perfectly. Let's get our guy here, just like the Cardinals sitting there at 3.
So what did Shadour do? I hate to keep asking this. Did he just look at Chris Ballard and decide to do like Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, yelling at John Candy? I mean, what on earth was it? Because it's like, okay, the interviews hurt you a little. To the 5th round, huh? So he went from top 5 to the 5th round? What, Daryl? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, I think that it was the media that had him as a top 5 and not the NFL.
Well, Greg Cosell says his tape is always fine. Greg Cosell never lies. I'm not even saying that Tom McShay's a liar. I believe that, yes, it probably cost him a little bit, but to the 5th round is...
Daryl, I've seen enough people now say that the talent was definitely, first or second round. So we'd be saying, probably lower first into the second round. I definitely think that talent was there. Ken and I kind of got into it, but I can't think of it as anything else other than he tanked those interviews. He was very proud about not needing an agent. And, of course, what do agents do? They prepare you for that setting. And I think a big part of his entire persona is I'm going to do it my way. And you know what? Hey, if it ends up working for him, then it should be applauded and maybe it'll be a test case. But until otherwise, I think other agents are going to tell prospective clients, like, you need to sign up with us or what happened to Shadour can happen to you.
The NFL has their ways that they like things done, and I think in some respects Shadour went against the grain a little bit, and clearly whatever happened during the pre-draft process rubbed a lot of teams the wrong way. There was some reporting that he was even turning down interviews with teams. There was reporting that he was treating interviews like he was the one that should be recruited rather than he was applying for a job. Now, I wasn't in the room. I know you guys weren't in the room, so it's hard to say what specifically happened during the pre-draft process, but it's very clear that he was penalized, it felt like, with that, outcome. That, there was something that did not sit well with the National Football League beyond just the tape. And, he got punished for it. And so now this year he's got an opportunity to come in and earn a starting job. But, I will also say this. I don't think that Shadour Sanders received the insight and the help that he needed and the counsel that he needed going through that pre-draft process. Hopefully last year was a little bit of a lesson for him as far as things that were asked of him specifically by the Cleveland Browns and how the organization likes to do things. And I realize we have a new head coach now in Todd Monken, and Kevin Stefanski and his offensive staff are no longer here. But hopefully now Shadour is able to attack this offseason, with the mindset that's going to be required for him to win this job. Because I will say this, if he has the same attitude and the same mindset that he had last offseason, I don't know that he's going to win the starting job. And one of those things that informed that mindset was he was buried as number 4 on the depth chart. And it was, I think he was given the impression it was going to be a redshirt year for him. And, what was it? By November, he was on the field and playing. So, he's got an opportunity to win a job this year. And I think that Shadour needs to keep his attention focused forward on what opportunity is there for him now rather than dwelling on whatever happened that led to him falling to the 5th round in the NFL draft.
The dangerous one, Daryl Ruiter, joining us on the show. Daryl, you said earlier this week, 45% chance he starts week 1. Does that mean that's 55% Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to take the job. That's just how I look at this. The Browns have not made it a secret that Deshaun is going to get an opportunity. They owe him $46 million this year. He's coming off of, the 2 Achilles tears in 3 months. He's played 19 games in 6 years. He's going to look great in practice. He looks good on Instagram. He looks healthy. He looks agile and all that. But we've seen when he has come back from significant time off, just the processing just isn't there. And, it feels like at times where he's in slow motion. And it's not looked good. So I anticipate that Deshaun's going to look great during the offseason program and the OTAs and the mini camps and even a portion of training camp here. But I'm not very confident that Deshaun's going to be able to do it on the field. And, but at the same time, I can't sit here and tell folks that Shadour Sanders has the inside track and he's the odds-on favorite to win this starting job, because I just don't believe that to be the case, number one. And number two, again, he's got to go earn that job. It's not going to get handed to him.
You saw the Orlovsky stuff this week on ESPN, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that he hurt Ty Simpson? Because, man, there was that, and then we had Kalen DeBoer on, and he didn't really – he was honest. I give him credit for, not –
right.
rubbing his nose in it or anything, but he was like, yeah, he's a coach's kid. Like, he sounded like he didn't think he would be a good pick for the Browns at number 6 or anything like that. Did all that stuff this week just kind of be like, nope, not interested?
Well, it didn't change my opinion because I wasn't interested to begin with. So,
tough talking, Daryl.
It's 6. I just don't think that that's worth it. And the metric I'm using is I'm looking at the options that could be there for them in 2027, and I'm sitting there saying, okay, do I want Ty Simpson or do I want Arch Manning? Do I want Ty Simpson or this other guy? Like, that's what I was doing, and my thought was I want the kid in 2027. And so that's why I'm not interested in Ty Simpson, because I think the kids in 2027 are going to be better than he is. And if you take Ty Simpson, you've now taken yourself out of 2027. You might say, well, okay, the Arizona Cardinals, they took quarterbacks in the first round back-to-back years. Yeah, and by the way, how's that worked out for them? Not very well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, the Browns took 2 quarterbacks last year. So you're telling me that Andrew Berry's going to have the luxury of setting 4 draft picks on fire for quarterbacks in consecutive years, and 2 of them are going to be first-rounders? Like, that's just not reality, okay? He's going to have to make a decision and take somebody in the first round, no question. I just think next year is going to be the year to do that wherever the Browns fall rather than this year with Ty Simpson. That's the lens with which I'm looking at that. It's not about tough talking or hating the kid or whatever. I just think that the draft class next year is going to be better than he is. So, but I did listen to your interview with DeBoer. I will give Coach credit for his candor and his honesty. So, but yeah, I really wasn't all that interested in Ty Simpson at 6 or 24.
Have you made up your mind about the strategy behind trying to fix offensive line and wide receiver with those 2 first picks in the order you would try to do it?
Yeah, I probably, knowing that Andrew Berry has a for sale sign most likely on that number 6 pick, and he's probably looking to move down a couple of spots, I kind of feel like left tackle is what you want to do first. This receiver class appears to be pretty good, especially at the top. and there's not a lot of separation in that top group. And I think 24 would be the perfect spot then to go ahead and take a receiver. Also, they have the number 36 pick. Hey, you could always double down, whether it's going back to offensive line or going back to wide receiver. I don't think that that's what Andrew Berry's going to do, but I do feel like that might be an option there that you could, get to at one of those positions with your first 3 picks.
I said I might be interested in Caden Proctor at number 24. It was an unpopular thing to say. Why? Just because he went to Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Why do people still feel that way? Because I learned my lesson after Patrick Mahomes. I said I'm never going to do that again. Guys who went to college, guys who went to colleges and saying like, "Oh, you've never seen a good Texas Tech quarterback." Well, obviously that's changed. And the first thing I got was who was the last really good Alabama offensive lineman in the NFL? Which, by the way, is a good question to ask, considering Chris Samuel was a long time ago. But if a guy's good, a guy's good. I don't think that the school he goes to should really hurt you.
Yeah, and he did start at left tackle. So I am, and I've had this conversation even with Coach Riz. Like, Andrew Berry believes that the tackle position is interchangeable. If you can play left, you can play right, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree with that. And I don't think that the Browns have had a lot of success with that philosophy. I would rather. That's why I'm kind of thinking Freeling should be the guy that they pick because he's a true left tackle. Now, I don't know if that's at 6, right? If they move down a couple of spots, he's probably still going to be there. And I'm thinking, that would be the direction that Andrew should go. But I would prefer that they go with a pure left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Malinois great, but played right tackle. And I don't like the idea of moving a guy to left tackle. And again, I will admit, it's because I've watched the Browns try and do this in the past, and it's not worked very well. So that is what is informing my opinion on that. That's not to say it can't be done. I'm not subscribing to that philosophy because the Browns have not shown me it can work.
Excellent.
Daryl, if when the season starts, Myles Garrett was not on the Cleveland Browns, how stunned would you be?
Well, now that they've done what they've done with the contract, I won't be stunned. Do I think they're going to trade him this year? No. Do I think they're setting it up to where they could trade him next year? Oh, yeah. I think that's definitely a possibility. But if they pulled the trigger on a trade later this summer, I wouldn't be stunned because of how they've reworked this contract. It doesn't look like there's significant salary cap savings. I'm not buying what the Browns are selling in regards to we're not trading him. Typically, the more vocal you are about not trading a player, that usually leads to a trade. That's just been my experience over the years. If I had $1 for every time a team said, yeah, we're not going to trade him, and then they trade that player. So I'm not going to rule it out. I had been downplaying it. I had been going after the national media and the podcasters that just would not stop about trading Myles Garrett. But now that they have altered this bonus structure the way they have and moving the payments back close to the season rather than doing it a week or two after the new league year, that smells to me like they're at least giving themselves the option to trade him and making it a little easier for them to do it. So, no, I would not be stunned if it happens, but I also don't think it's going to happen at least this summer, maybe next year.
Do you think, real quick, what percent would you put that Myles Garrett finishes his career as a Cleveland Brown then?
I'm going to say 50-50. I was convinced that he was going to, and then they did this with the contract, and that has changed my opinion. I think that there's an eject button there. Now, Myles does have the no-trade clause, if he does get traded, it's going to be to a contender. That means that the picks the Browns are going to get probably aren't going to be, as valuable, right? They're going to be in the probably 25 to 32 range. So, I think that's where you have to ask for a third first rounder, just because of that. You're not going to get top 10 picks out of that particular trade. So certainly not like the Houston Texans thought they were going to get from the Cleveland Browns, right? And you see some of these other teams when they're giving up those picks. And so, yeah, I think that it's now 50-50 that he actually finishes his career here now that contract language has been altered.
Daryl, thank you so much for the time. All the very best to you and yours. You take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
You bet, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
The dangerous one, Daryl Ruiter. Brought to you by
Shibe & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
All right, we're getting a lot of reaction to the quarterback conversation that we had. Clark Kellogg's going to join us at 9:01, and why the Guardians may very well end up in the ALCS this coming fall. Tell you why. Ken Carman, Tone Master General, live on The Fan.
Sports on the station with the most local sports talk in town. 92.3 The Fan. Powered by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
And now Chase Delotter. Goodbye. Deep right field. Into the night it goes, and it's 6-4 Guardians. It's a 2-homer night for Chase Delotter.
Audio courtesy of Guardians TV. They're on Apple TV tonight.
So tomorrow's audio will be courtesy of Apple TV.
Well, I ain't going to be on tomorrow, so I don't know.
Well,
they got to figure it out. Whoever's on tomorrow's got to figure it out. Whoever's on Saturday. Chase Delotter, 2 home runs yesterday. Which, how many runs did it? How many RBI did he have yesterday? He had 2 RBI. There were 2 solo shots? Because I'd love to do the Burt Blyleven if I can. 2 home runs. I would love to do that.
Now, he's still eligible for Rookie of the Year, right?
Yep.
Even though he played in the playoffs last year?
Hell yeah, he is.
He could have played like 40 games last year.
I know.
He'd still be eligible.
I do
for
love
Rookie
that
of the Year.
about the Major League Baseball.
A lot of places have that type of rule. NASCAR has a rule about 5 races, at least
Very
they used
comparable.
to.
A lot of people
It is
talk about
comparable.
that.
Is it not comparable?
Not a day goes by I don't hear that comparison from my buddies on the NASCAR circuit.
You don't have any buddies on the NASCAR circuit.
Grew up in
No, he didn't.
Dirt racing family.
No,
Rusty Wallace.
Yeah, that's just a lie he told Rusty Wallace and Tyler Reddick when they were on the show. But he's a habitual liar. He lied about that whole thing.
Young John thinks I grew up in a long list of
it was timber people.
Timber people. Christmas tree farm.
Lima told John's family owns a Christmas tree farm, and Lima said that his family also owned a Christmas tree farm in Chesterland, which is a pretty good lie considering.
I thought you grew up in a long line of Bitterman.
And John believed him.
A Bitterman.
Because why would John not believe him? I would have believed you if I were John. I compared Chase Delotter to Lonnie Chisenhall earlier today. And the reason I did is because of the possible potential that either one has. Now, obviously, Lonnie Chisenhall was robbed of any possible greatness because of the injuries that he had. For a guy like Chase Delotter should have more power than Lonnie Chisenhall ever would have had. That's fine. But if I compare, who am I going to compare Chase Delotter to when he just starts in? Because we have a lot of hope for him, but he gets hurt.
I got 2 names sent to me.
Please, yes.
Grady Sizemore was one of them. And Matt Laporta.
I brought Matt Laporta up earlier.
Laporta was a pretty good comparison.
Grady Sizemore was like that for a couple of years, though. He was really that good.
He was an AL MVP candidate. Grady's close. I don't want to compare him to Matt Laporta. If I compare him to Matt Laporta, then everybody's just going to say I'm making him a bust. Right?
Yeah, I think you're kind of doing that with the Chisenhall.
I don't think Lonnie was a bust, though. A lot of
people do not
Lonnie.
want to hear that that's a career. Your first round pick is going to.
I agree with you. I think Lonnie was a contributor on teams when we needed him. That's a bust to a lot of people when you're a first round pick, though.
What I'm pointing out is that I think that Chase Delotter could reach the heights as long as he stays healthy that we wanted Lonnie Chisenhall to reach. And as a number 2 hitter in this lineup, if he can provide some power where guys have to pitch around him and then have to deal with Jose Ramirez, then we're laughing. We're not going to be the Yankees with the lineup that they've had, at least not yet, but we're laughing about it. And you can have a strong season because I'm reading more and more. And if you guys watch MLB, if you guys look at MLB.com and all the other things getting ready for the season, you'll see a lot of stuff about this team. A lot of teams are going, quote unquote, the youth movement. And that's a nice way of saying they don't know what's going to happen this winter. And I've been down that road a bunch of times. But if everybody else is just starting the youth movement, quote unquote, we've been in the youth movement for 20 plus years. So which team is more apt in the American League
for the next 20?
Obviously. Well, we'll see how it goes if fans get what they want out of this coming up next winter. But if you have a team that's been in the youth movement for 20 years, I don't know which team is more apt to actually compete in this season. Is it a team that's just decided to liquidate assets and do the quote-unquote youth movement? Or is it the Guardians who that's become the way that they do business? Because when teams usually say youth movement, it's an excuse to be bad because they're not going to pay anybody because they don't know what's going on. Or they just don't think they're ever going to get there or with this current group.
Well, they're also the Guardians. They would have to be legit, top-of-the-line World Series candidates to think, and remember, they did this in 2016 and 2017. They weren't worried about whether they were blocking youngsters from coming up. They would have to be at that rate again, like on the brink of 95 wins, 100 wins in the following year.
Yes.
You know, they're going to pounce at that trade deadline, like getting Andrew Miller the way they did, you know, Jay Bruce's of the world. Like, then, yeah, fine, you're going to pounce. But until then, you know, they're never going to bring in veterans and free agents that could block some of the younger guys from coming up.
That's exactly it.
By the way, it wouldn't make sense to.
Exactly it. And there's also people responding to what I said about payroll and all the other things. If they go and they get a salary cap, I can hold them to a different standard. Until they do, I understand what I understand, or they've said it so many times where I have to choose to believe them because of how this has gone. So I look at game one. If I say something too cheap about Chase Delotter, if I say something too cheap, then I didn't give him enough credit. If I go overboard and I say, you know, this guy's going to be the next Jose freaking Ramirez, well, then obviously you're going overboard and you're saying crazy things about a guy who's played game one of hopefully 162 or close to it. So it's all potential. If he can, and he's a rookie, so that means we're going to have peaks and valleys. We know that. But if he can harness some power and provide pop before Jose Ramirez, I think, especially with a lot of teams kind of bowing out on not the Tigers, but with a lot of teams bowing out on 2026, okay, why can't we end up in the ALCS because of that? Some things got to go our way. And also, it's not lost to me where Tanner Bibee having arm discomfort, shoulder inflammation on the right shoulder, that speaks to me. I know he downplayed it. I know Stephen Vogt downplayed it. I hope they're right. That's not a great start to it because you need all the pitchers you can get, obviously, with the Cleveland Guardians. So there's some things that have to go our way. But I see a team that's young, that has been competitive for the last 20-plus years, more often than not, have been to the postseason. You said, 7 of the last 10 seasons? Mm-hmm. That's a very successful franchise. And so if you've been to the postseason 7 out of the last 10 years, then I would say that you could get that at their 8 out of the last 11, and you could be a team that maybe ends up in the ALCS. And I think that would be a hell of a season for this team. You lose to the Yankees, who have a huge payroll, fine, that happens. Now, what are you going to do? Except for try to compete at what they are, and we'll figure it all out coming up next winter, is kind of the way I'm seeing it. There's no reason to be down about them. There's no reason to be cynical about them. They don't give you a reason to be cynical about them. Yes, they are. You didn't want to bring this up this week because it might sound like a downer. I don't think it's a downer. I really don't. They are the Steelers of professional baseball, and that's fine. You're never going to be that bad, and they don't want to be that bad because they know if they are that bad, then no one will come. Well, so anybody who says to tank it out, there's no way.
Yeah, they're too good of an organization to ever be that bad.
Exactly. So they're a competitive team that, yes, if some things go their way, things can change. But 87, right there in the meaty middle, that's perfectly fine with me.
You know what I love, too? We played a baseball game last night with robot umps, and I haven't heard one complaint yet today from a Guardians fan about the robot umps. The robots didn't attack anybody. Wasn't like any of those MIT robots that try to jump and fight.
Drive through a bus stop glass.
I didn't see that. None of that happened yesterday.
Wasn't that the Waymo who did that? Did you see the one that got stopped by the train tracks?
I did. But, Seattle didn't even use their challenges yesterday, and they had a couple of pitches, a couple of big ones. And I'm like, wow, Cal Raleigh had one, and he ended up striking out. I was like, wow, we could have used one there. So teams are still trying to figure out when to actually use their challenges. We used one.
Coming in hot. 9:45.
Triggered by the catcher. I love that. Those are my favorite challenges
so far.
Coming in
hot, 9:45. We are in the midst of the Sweet 16. Clark Kellogg going to be joining us here in 5 minutes. Ohio high school basketball legend, college basketball legend, CBS Sports college basketball analyst Clark Kellogg joins us in 5 on The Fan.
KenCarman.com or favorite 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app for all today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Opening day is just around the corner. Get the latest Guardians coverage here.
Play ball!
We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Coming up in 20 minutes, or maybe coming up in just a few moments. Is it fair or unfair what we're about to hear from Kevin O'Connor about Evan Mobley? Some strong words. We'll have that probably coming up at around 9:25 this morning. Also coming in hot, 9:45 this morning. Yes, we will do Coming in Hot. Lima is here. Coming in Hot is active. Coming up at 9:45 this morning. Let's go to the Make It Right Call Kyle Right hotline. And we welcome in Clark Kellogg. Here in just a moment. Lima has a giveaway he doesn't know about.
Well, here we go. Code word for your chance to be a winner forever. Forever. 923thefan.com before 10 a.m. Your chance to win a pair of lawn tickets to Wu-Tang Clan with Bone Thugs and Harmony at Blossom Music Center on September 9th. I know for a fact Clark Kellogg, who always represents Cleveland, Ohio, a huge Bone Thugs and Harmony fan. That's part of the Minuteman Workforce Solutions Concert Series. Tickets on sale this Friday, 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. It's all from Live Nation and Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
All right, Clark Kellogg now joins us on the Make It Right Call Kyle Right hotline. Clark, good morning to you.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
We're doing very, very well. Tone, I know you want to ask him about Ohio State. I know you want to ask him about Cincinnati and Jared Calhoun. You go right on ahead, buddy.
We will get to that because I did hear Jared Calhoun, the new coach of Cincinnati, who is a friend of mine and is from Northeast Ohio. He did say that Ohio State, Cincinnati, is the top basketball job in the state of Ohio. Clark, that makes me really angry, but is he accurate?
I don't think so, but it is a good job and a great opportunity for Jared, a fellow St. Joe Viking alum. So thrilled for him to have an opportunity to get back to Ohio, and he's obviously proven to be an outstanding young coach. So excited to see him get that opportunity. Always sorry to see any coach be let go. Wes Miller had done a great job at UNC Greensboro before he got the Cincinnati job. Had a team this year that I thought was going to be tournament worthy. They kind of stumbled out of the gate and then made a mad dash towards putting themselves in the conversation late in the season, but by then it just wasn't enough to be part of the field of 68. But Jared obviously has been terrific in every place he's been. He's won, and now he's got an opportunity to get a pretty, that's a pretty healthy basketball community there in Cincinnati. When Bob Huggins was there, they were rolling, and I'm assuming that he'll be able to move forward and get them back competing for conference championships and being tournament worthy here not too long.
Clark Kellogg joining us here on the Make It Right Call Kyle Right hotline. Have you ever been in a situation where you didn't have 5 guys on the floor at the end of a basketball game? Didn't realize it?
No, I can't recall that. That was a major failure to communicate and an unfortunate mishap last night for Nebraska. That has not been part of my personal basketball experience that I can recall. Now, it's been a long time since I've been between the lines, but I don't recall ever having that happen. But crazy things happen in March, both good and puzzling, and that's part of what makes it such a compelling 3 weeks.
Well, Clark, it's interesting because that happened, if folks don't know or if it was too late. Iowa, they ended up beating Nebraska last night, and at the final timeout, the Cornhuskers came out. They had 4 players on the floor. Iowa was able to get themselves a pretty easy layup out of that. And obviously, a lot of people are going after Fred Hoiberg. I go back to the Ohio State-Notre Dame game. I'm a football guy, Clark, so I look at it and I go, well, when Marcus Freeman was talking about 10 guys being on the field, it's like Marcus Freeman isn't in charge on that. Now, he's the head coach, so he answers to it, but he covered up for somebody on his staff that might have messed that up. Is the head coach in charge of saying what 5 are out there at that level, or is it more of a mix with the assistants there? How does that work?
Yeah, I think it varies. I think it varies with each individual team as far as what role the head coach and the assistant coaches have at timeout. So I don't know where you would land that it clearly was a mess up by the whole team. Who was actually ultimately responsible for that? I don't know if we'll ever know, and it's not that important to know it happened. It was a mistake. We still have human beings that are operating on the sidelines and playing in the games and officiating the game. So mistakes happen. They're unfortunate when they do, and some are more costly than others. I mean, Iowa was up by 3 at that time, if I recall correctly, and they had come back from a small deficit in the second half. Nebraska had gone cold. They had shot it so well, both teams, in the first half, and then Nebraska hit a stretch where it didn't convert shots, and Iowa's defense picked up too. So, again, we tend to focus on the last play or two, and they are significant at times, and they could be game changers, but there's also another segment of a bunch of plays that contribute to the outcome as well.
Clark Kellogg joining us right now on the hotline. So how about the Big Ten? Yesterday, 3 teams advancing. Purdue with that big win over Texas. You just talked about Iowa and Illinois getting past Houston. And now today, you have a chance to also get Michigan. They're heavy favorites over Alabama. And then Michigan State in that big matchup against UConn.
Yeah.
Has that been the story so far of the tournament, the Big Ten?
Well, it's certainly one of them. I mean, you'd be hard not to put that on the marquee in terms of stories. But that's another part of this thing that's so special. The 3 weeks you have stories unfold, and some of them have happened and are no longer being talked about. I think we've had great first games on every day of the tournament, starting with Ohio State and TCU, a disappointing result for the Buckeyes, but it was a terrific, dramatic, competitive college basketball game. We had the Kentucky-Santa Clara game, which was a moment. Otega-Oweh with that half-court heave after Santa Clara thought they had made a 3 to win the game. I can't recall our first games on Saturday, Sunday, but I know they were compelling. I do remember they were close. They were tight. They were exciting. So, yeah, it's been good. I mean, you can find multiple stories, but clearly when you think about it, the Big Ten's representation, we had 6 teams from the conference in the Sweet 16. We've got an assurance of at least one Big Ten team in the Final Four because Illinois and Iowa play each other, so one of them will land in Indianapolis. And then you still got the opportunity Purdue is in the Elite Eight. They face a real mountain of a challenge in Arizona. I think Arizona and Michigan are the best teams in the field. I've thought that since midway through the season. Actually, I thought Arizona was the best team at one point in the season, and haven't moved off of that. I've let Michigan co-share that title in the series. Neither one of those teams would be beat by any of these teams in the field if it were a series. It's not. So a one-game situation. I could not see Iowa beating Florida until I saw it. And so that can happen, too, with Purdue or any of these other teams. I mean, so that's part of the beauty of this 3-week run to a championship, guys.
Clark Kellogg with us. So there seemed to be a little consternation early in the tournament that the Cinderella examples were not up and running. So does that matter to you? Obviously, there's been great basketball. The skill has been incredible. Sure. The coaching has been good. But do you feel like, to some extent, fans are gypped if they don't get that the shoe still fits moment?
Man, I've been doing this thing since '97 at CBS, either in the studio as an analyst or a segment of years where I actually called the Final Four. And I've learned that you accept what March Madness gives you because it always delivers and it's always special. I love when Cinderellas happen, whether it's a win in the first in the round of 64 or a Sweet 16 run or occasionally a Final Four run. I'm just as happy when we have 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four. So for me, it's about the ride and the journey and the stories and the excitement that is uniquely March Madness. And so I don't bemoan the fact that we don't have what people – we do have one if you really think – I mean, we've got a 9 seed that's playing for a chance to go to the Final Four. I don't know how many people had that in their bracket. But Cinderella, if you're thinking mid-majors, we had a great story with Miami, Ohio. We had a great story with High Point. And I think we're going to continue to have them. How often and to what degree remains to be seen, but I'm not ready to jump on the wagon that because of NIL, because of the transfer portal, that we're not going to have some of those unique mid-major runs anymore. Let's see how it plays out in time, and enjoy the ride as you get a chance to experience it. And that's where I am. That's where I am on it. So the fans are treated all the time by this event.
Clark Kellogg joining us on the show. I agree with you. It's been a long time since I've seen St. John's be this competitive, anywhere near this competitive.
Right. How about that?
I don't know. Yeah, because I think there's a lot, and you run into this, Clark. I mean, if I can ask, how old are you?
I'll be 65. I'm Medicare age here in a few months, fellas. Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys from your age down to where Lima's age is, my age, who, the NIL kills them. Like, I just think.
What are those numbers? You guys had me review my number. Give me your number.
Here. I'm 39. I get the prostate check this summer.
3 generations removed from me. Yeah.
But it's the same argument for we get a lot of NILs ruining it or transfer portals ruining it. And I go, hey, I'm actually kind of sensitive to the transfer portal because I think some guys get talked into some bad decisions.
No question.
But when it comes to like Cinderellas, I'm like, I think we just have to redefine the word Cinderella because St. John's being there. I mean, that's a hell of a story. People seem to like Rick Pitino a whole lot, and St. John's, they're kind of fun to watch. And taking on Duke, everybody loves to hate Duke, Clark.
I'm not in that camp. But, yeah, you're right. I think we do have to redefine. And the point that was made earlier around the quality of the teams and play, there's no denying that is true. There are more really good teams across college basketball, in part because of the transfer portal, in part because of NIL. Kids that are marginal NBA talent or pro talent are much more comfortable and willing to stay in school. Now, teams are older and more experienced, and that helps them be better. So that raises the competitive landscape. I'm not a big proponent of multiple anytime you want transfers. I think at one time, if a situation isn't working, and then you have to have some consequences if you decide to transfer a second or third time. That's just my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. The NIL thing is unsustainable as it's operating now. I think it'll find a level in due time. We probably are going to need some congressional help to create an environment that's fair to the players and more sustainable going forward than what's going on now. But change is always uncomfortable when it's disruptive. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's awful. There's some components that need to be modified and reeled in. But the game between the lines is as good as it's ever been in terms of competitive balance and quality of play.
Well, you said sustainable, and I agree about the skill level, the quality of play, some of the European influence as well, that those players are now coming to college and staying in college because they're making money. But you said unsustainable. I mean, Jared Calhoun is on record as saying they got to spend, $10+ million at Cincinnati if they want to make a deep run in the tournament. Well, Ohio State did not spend $10 million last year. And I'm wondering if does that rub you the wrong way to have coaches openly talking about, hey, I need money. I'm gonna put my hand out. Yeah. I need boosters and collectives to step forward, or we're not going to be competitive.
I'd rather it wasn't the case, but the reality is that's where we are. And until we actually have a little more transparency around what's going on, I mean, a lot of cases are where schools are chasing their tail because some other school implied that they're going to offer a kid X number of dollars. And so you don't have any way to kind of establish what the market is other than what you think or assume other schools are paying and what you think is important for you to be able to retain your roster. I don't know what the number is, but I also know, and this is in life and in basketball, money can help make things better. It doesn't solve every issue you have. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to win. May it competitiveness? Yes, that's a reality of the landscape. But you can't just simply buy championships. You can't just simply pay for winning organizations. You have to have other ingredients: leadership, character, commitment, sacrifice, discipline. So, yes, the money and it being talked about that openly is not pleasant. It's a bit uncomfortable, but there is a reality to it. And so we have to deal with that. And I'm comfortable navigating it and trying to do it in a way with perspective. and reason. And again, when you're going through disruption, innovation, whether it's brick and mortar businesses going away, whether it's these computers we have in our hands, whether it's AI and what it means, it's not always comfortable, but in many cases, when navigated, it improves. It improves the situation, the industry, the company, the team. So you have to be able to handle both. And it's not, again, growth is not always comfortable or pleasant, but ultimately it can lead to good. And that's where I think we are. I mean, I don't like a lot of things about the landscape, particularly the multiple transfers, because you wonder how many of these kids are going to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
That's the exchange when you actually give your athletic ability for a scholarship is to, one, play the game you love and have been gifted to play, and then also to have an opportunity for an education, which is a foundational pillar to helping you improve your life.
Wait, Clark, sorry to interrupt. We got to go
yeah.
soon. I'm sorry to interrupt. We got to go soon. Do you still care whether or not these student athletes are students and they go to class and graduate? You still do?
I do, because the vast majority, obviously money can help you improve your, but yeah, I do. I certainly care, and I'm concerned about what the numbers are going to say as this thing plays out about the quality of life, the education that kids have not gotten, and what that means to their future. Sure, money can always bridge a gap, and sometimes it can set you up. But there's some things in the college experience from an educational standpoint, the people you meet, even going through the process of getting a degree, some of the disciplines and the sacrifice and the commitments you have to make, those are useful skills for your life. You don't always have to be a college graduate to have success. I understand that. But there's some other inherent components of the whole educational opportunity that make a difference. I've got college teammates that did not play pro basketball, and their lives were changed because basketball gave them an education, an opportunity to meet people and go through the process of trying to get a degree and getting it, and what that's meant not only for them, but their kids, and what it might mean for their kids, that their granddad or grandma was a college graduate and experienced what that offers. So there's tremendous value in that. I'm not one to dismiss the reality of how money can change your life, and if athletic ability gives you a chance to do that, that's great. But what also about the opportunity to enhance your life beyond the game, because the game doesn't last forever. It's going to end for everybody, even the ones who play pro basketball. I know. It happened to me at 26 after being drafted at 21. So, no, I'm very passionate about the exchange of athletic ability for education and opportunity to improve your life. If money is part of that process and you get a big bag of it, wonderful. But the reality is the education is more assuring of you having a chance to improve your life than getting a bag of money at 19 or 20 years old that might not last very long.
Clark Kellogg, he's on CBS. He's wonderful. Clark, we thank you so much for the time. Obviously a Cleveland legend. Clark, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the tournament.
Yep, you guys do the same. Great to always be with you and appreciate it. Keep up the great work.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Clark Kellogg on the Make It Right Call Kyle Right hotline. Outstanding. So finally, somebody agrees with me. You guys all you're just fat and old. Okay, fine. You could do it cursory. That's fine. Coming in hot at 9:45. Up next, it's going to sound mean-spirited, but that doesn't mean what you're about to hear about Evan Mobley is wrong. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on The Fan.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
live with more intention, more laughter, and more connection. Join us on For the Love wherever you get your podcasts.
There's only one place to hear breaking Browns news. This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns, 92.3 The Fan.
Coming in hot. Just under 20 minutes away. Please keep your comments within the boundaries of good taste. Of course, it's been a while. It has been a while. It's been like a month since we've done Coming in hot. So we'll see how it goes.
Be good.
It's been a month since you've done it.
I think they're going to be good.
How was it when Daryl was with you?
It was the best one we ever had.
So this is going to come off mean. I don't know if it comes off wrong, though. Kevin O'Connor. What outlet is Kevin O'Connor on now? Do we know? It just says the Kevin O'Connor show.
He is on the. Is he not on the Ringer?
Is it the Ringer?
On the Ringer.
Oh no, he left the Ringer.
Okay,
He's doing
he left
something else.
Well, either way, Kevin O'Connor's been a long-time basketball writer. Done a lot of things. I think one was Pro Basketball Talk. Here's Kevin O'Connor on Evan Mobley and his thoughts on Evan Mobley. And I'm going to tell you, this is harsh, but I want to know if you think it's unfair.
Evan Mobley is the most overrated and disappointing player in all of the NBA. Year 5 with Evan Mobley right now, and he hasn't improved a lick as a post scorer. He hasn't improved a lick as an isolation scorer. He is still just as shaky of a three-point shooter and a free throw shooter as he was when he was a rookie. It's so disappointing that this guy has plateaued since he entered the NBA. And you might be able to say, if Donovan Mitchell wasn't absorbing so many touches, Evan Mobley would get more opportunities to handle on the perimeter. Evan Mobley hasn't earned those touches. You look at what he is defensively with what he can be. He's super versatile. He can switch. He can defend across positions, but he doesn't set a tone because he's soft. Because he might be a great defensive player, but he's not a tone setter. He's not a true defensive player of the year. He won that award because other guys didn't reach 65 games a la Victor Wembanyama, and other guys were quote-unquote too young to earn it from the voters.
All right. So I heard that. It's mean. Is it unfair?
Okay, I've heard a lot of people call Evan Mobley soft, and that would be the first time I've really ever heard a defensive player of the year be called soft. Now, at times...
You've heard a lot of people call Evan Mobley soft, but that's the first time you...
Yes.
Oh, you mean altogether?
Yeah,
I thought you meant that clip.
In stereo.
Right. Yes.
That typically isn't... I mean, people have said nasty things about Rudy Gobert, but after, 5 defensive player of the year, I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Can you really say soft anymore when teams... do everything they can to bring him away from the basket because he makes them look stupid inside. And look, Evans had to make up for not having Jared Allen. And so, but defensively, I still think he's really, really good. He's not Wemby, but he's really good defensively, and he's made a lot of guys look bad. Offensively, he gets pushed around. I'll call it what it is. Like, I was there the other night against Miami. James Harden made a concerted effort.
Keith was over there the other night against Miami, and Keith was talking about it.
They made a concerted effort to get him the ball because they know they want to try to build up his confidence before the playoffs start. And he had shot 60% since the All-Star break. He had dominated a lot of bad centers inside, gotten good looks. And then against Miami, he was going up against Bam, who he's had good games against, and he kind of got pushed off his spot and didn't want any part of having the basketball. Like, it was pretty obvious in that particular game that he didn't want it. Now, that's been, to me, over the last month and a half, that's been more the anomaly, not the norm. I thought he has played better and better offensively, and he's taken it to a bunch of guys. But overall, I do think it's fair to say he has not made the strides we have all hoped, and I think the Cavs have hoped, that he would make offensively. What I've continued to say about him is his floor is remarkably high, meaning even the bad Evan Mobley games, he is still a force to be reckoned with defensively, and he still can clean up a lot around the rim and get easy opportunities. It's just the highs aren't there, right? The ceiling's not there. Evan Mobley's not going to drop 40 in a given night. It's just not happening. He doesn't have that game, and that's disappointing, I think. 5 years into his NBA career, we thought a unicorn that could dribble, pass, and shoot like him would have those nights, and he just doesn't have those.
So this is where I'm at with Evan. Is there's been a lot of hope that he was going to be the unicorn, quote unquote. This is a year where I think we reach the overall crescendo of what his career is in Cleveland. You can feel it in the air. and I have ranted and raved earlier this morning about people being afraid of what could happen because the Cavaliers are trying to maximize every possible thing they can do to win a championship. And so the next one you would think about moving would be Donovan Mitchell. Now, the next one you think about moving would be Evan Mobley. Beg your pardon. Now, Donovan Mitchell will get brought up by part of the fan base. I guarantee you. I had to correct myself there. Donovan Mitchell will be brought up because it is a question of what is your return on him going to be? How much more can he lead with this team? Is he a number one? He's our number one. Is he a number one? Like James Harden. James Harden has tried to be a number one. He's not a number one anymore.
No, and when he won the MVP.
Yes.
He was on some really good teams that were a big-time threat in the Western Conference, but not enough to pull through.
And I think that this team is a threat in the Eastern Conference. So I think we are going to come to a point here where some very strong commentary is going to be made, one way or the other, about Evan Mobley. Like, I've heard the show in the afternoon talking about Evan, and, well, we don't want to give up on Evan for a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who Joe Varden comes on the station, and other guys come on the station and say they believe his best basketball is behind him. And I do understand that. Sometimes I think they're a little bit afraid, but I do understand that. I want Evan to be a Cavalier forever. I want Evan to take that next step. But if they don't feel he is going to take that next step, then the conversation becomes, what can we get out of him so we have somebody who we believe that can take the next step? Or, and this is probably very unlikely happening, do you think about Donovan Mitchell and his future with the Cavs? I would say it's 90% it would be on Evan instead of Donovan. But the conversation is going to happen, and it's mostly going to be about Evan. This is going to be a huge postseason.
Yeah, it's a huge postseason. I hope, for everybody that's mad that KOC said these things, I've seen a lot of the Cavs community mad. I mean, put it up on the bulletin board. I mean, quite legitimately, I said the All-Star break this year had to be, and I used the term humiliating. For Evan, you didn't like that term. Okay, I'll just say disappointing then, in a big way, because nobody was talking about Evan Mobley when the game is being celebrated by all that are in it. I know there's a lot of outside noise about the All-Star weekend, but for people that are in the game and they obsess about all those things, they come together at the All-Star game. They start talking about who the best players are, who the best young players are. Evan Mobley was not there. Part of it was the injury, but he did not make the All-Star team. He was not involved in those discussions. They're not even really talking about Evan Mobley on Team USA going forward. Like, that has to hurt him to some extent, considering where he was drafted, considering how he burst onto the scene as a really promising player. Even though he didn't win Rookie of the Year, I thought he was robbed, but in the end, he won Defensive Player of the Year. He got the Supermax. He hit all these early benchmarks. And then this year, I can't even say it plateaued. He was a blogger, an NBA talker favorite. They were all excited to talk about him as maybe a Giannis down the road. These are real people nationally, and now they're all turning on him. Yes. Now they're all disappointed where he was.
And that's what, because
he's lost ground on his class, too. Kate Cunningham is the guy they're talking about.
And they're doing that, and I know why they're doing that, because basketball gets argued about player to player and what you think of a player more than any other sport, even more than football, even more than quarterbacks. So when you say great things about how a player is going to be and that player doesn't get that way, you end up getting mad at him, because then you got people ripping you. I told you, this started happening to me with Evan Mobley, because there's been years over these first 5 years where I've been very defensive, and then he goes out there and plays meek. He goes out there, plays unsure of himself, and part of that is because of what they've done with him, trying to maybe force him to be someone he's not. That has to be acknowledged. But there's been times where I start getting ripped, and I'm going, why am I getting ripped over this guy? Why am I defending this guy? And I think that we do that in media all the time with players. You didn't become who I thought you were going to be. I'm mad at you for making me look a little worse. Does it matter? No, whatever. But in your head, you think he made you look a little worse. So we are coming to a head here in this postseason where we're going to be put up or shut up time with Evan Mobley. And when I say hope, my issue is I keep saying hope. I don't keep saying I expect. I don't think there's a guy on this team that needs Jared Allen more than Evan Mobley does back as soon as he possibly can. And I know that we're going to be getting him back hopefully tonight.
And when they play together, their lineups are in the 80 percentile. They're really good. They need both of them back. We're supposed to get Jared Allen back. And they're in action tonight. But I'll just say this when it comes to Evan, He is a guy getting paid a whole lot of money over the next few years. In fact, it caps in 2030 at $61 million. Yeah. And I'm telling you, they didn't just trade Darius Garland because they couldn't count on Darius. They traded Darius because they couldn't count on Evan Mobley.
I think he has. Man, he might have the most pressure on him on this team. Now, maybe I'm not thinking about it correctly. Donovan Mitchell's at a different point in his career, but damn, Evan's got a lot of pressure on him. Because it ain't going to happen without Evan. It just ain't. And that's why I think a lot of people are down on him, because they don't think it's going to happen with Evan. 216-474-0092. We got people who want to get in. Do we want to get in on this when it comes to Mobley? We can try. Also, please keep your comments within the boundaries of good taste. Coming in hot. Coming up next on The Fan.
Brad Evans here to help you beat the
New Game Plus with Oxy.
When you want the latest on the Cavs, we're the station you turn to first. 92.3 The Fan is Cleveland's home for breaking sports news. Your teams, your station.
In just a few moments, coming in hot, we'll be airing on this radio show. However, Andy Baskin joins us in studio right now. Hi.
Man.
Have you been getting texts all morning? Because I have.
I don't know. I'm just really excited that we now have someone to hit the Lonnie Chisenhall threshold. So I'm really pumped about that.
Kiss my ass. I was talking about his potential. Okay, fine.
That's not good enough for you, Baskin?
He'll be the next Jose Ramirez, and then you guys can all say, oh, my God, after one game, you don't know what you're talking about.
Andy, wait a second. You're saying if Chase Delotter grows up to become Lonnie Chisenhall, you wouldn't be happy?
No, why would they?
I need him to be more than Lonnie Chisenhall.
Overall, like Lonnie Chisenhall was solid when he was healthy. He was just never healthy. So because he was never healthy, he's been a disappointment. So you want him to be more than Lonnie Chisenhall. Why am I explaining that to you? Both of you, go to hell.
It was brought to my attention that people were angry with Ken for comparing him to Lonnie Chisenhall.
Yeah,
it's comparing what people saw in the potential.
Let me ease your pain here a little bit. Lonnie Chisenhall, very nice guy. Very nice guy.
I rode the bus with him.
Yeah, good. Yeah, okay, so you know.
He is a nice guy.
I'm on your team, man. I get it. I understand that. When you're around the team 24/7, you build a relationship. You want to defend. I have guys. Carl Sadler. I will defend Carl Sadler till my death.
Somebody needs to defend.
That's true. What did you do this morning that my phone was blowing up?
He saw your ass, man.
He didn't see my ass.
He looked right into death and saw it. Do you have your patch on now?
What a real friend does? A real friend doesn't hesitate when you ask him to throw a Band-Aid on your back, or it was a cortisone patch. But he was a true friend yesterday.
How big was the
Ken
patch?
says he wouldn't have done it.
I wouldn't have done it.
You see these lights we have in here, like that thing? This doesn't work on radio, but anyway, it's about as big as that thing right there.
That's a big patch.
Yeah, it's a patch. But you guys can hear me on this. I know you want to do coming in hot, so I'll make it really quick. The night before, do you ever do anything like you want to rearrange something and your wife is sleeping and you're like, I don't know if she's going to want me to do this, so I'm just going to do this while she's sleeping? Do you guys ever rearrange any furniture or do something? Do you ever do that?
No.
Dude.
No.
You've never done that?
No.
Okay, well, anyway, long story short, my mom passed, my dad passed years ago. We got them. The last thing I bought with my dad was this big screen TV. It's always kind of meant something to me. So we picked it up from my house. My mom passed away, so we're cleaning out the house. So I put the TV up in my office, and I'm like, damn, this looks really good. I could use a couch in here. Well, my mom had a really small couch that we had to pull out of the house too. Small enough that I thought I could lift it by myself.
Oh boy!
Now this is like a 1 a.m. decision, and I'm thinking, should I wake my kid up and have him help me? I was like, nah, let him sleep. So I went in the basement. I lifted this couch by myself, took it up the stairs by myself.
Terrible decision.
Did it, and you're trying to do it quiet too, right? The whole thing, so you don't wake everybody up. And then I put the couch in, and I'm like, oh, this looks pretty good. As I'm sitting here during the show yesterday, my back is on fire. Pain, man.
And so you had to get Lima to help you out?
No. So I remember this. I had a broken arm that finally healed, right, from playing hockey. So I had a kid hit me. I was looking one way, and he had his head down, and he buried me, and my arm broke, right? So I had these cortisone patches that I had, and I'm like, oh, I have one in my bag. I can put this on my back. So I went to go put the patch on myself, and my arm, I still have dead shoulder, frozen shoulder on that side where I broke the arm. And I'm like, I can't reach. And I had to open it. So I asked Keith for scissors. I open up the packet. And I'm like, damn, I can't get this thing on my back.
And Lima helped
you. Lima was there. And I was like, dude, I know this. And I knew it was a little awkward. I'm like, can you just slap this on my back? That's all I said to him. And then I showed him exactly where the spot was. It's right where you're above your belt. And I go, just slap that on my back. That's all I need you to do. And yeah, I got to tell you, he actually said, do you need help? Dude, he's a good man.
We're going to have to help him go to the bathroom after the first segment pretty soon.
But after I broke my arm, I needed that too. That was not fun.
Well, he's a better friend than me, I guess.
That's okay. That's all right. Hey,
I don't know.
If you're on fire, I won't be helping put the fire out.
Well, I stopped, drop, and roll. Finally have an excuse to. I thought people were on fire all the time when I was a kid.
Were you giving him heat over this or no? Were people giving you heat? I'm telling you, I get 2 texts right in a row. You're getting roasted. They're killing you on the air.
6:40 in the morning?
Did you do it twice?
No, just once.
Oh, it must have been somebody listening and waited a little while before they texted me. 2 people did it, though, later.
Do you want to sit in on Coming In Hot?
Yeah, let's go. I'm in.
All right, here we go.
All right, Cleveland, it's time to get whatever you want off your chest. Cleveland, you're coming in hot. The phone lines are open now.
Can take 3 more.
You get to sit in on this. Jeff would be appalled. Here we go. Hello, you're coming in hot.
I don't know about you, but I take comfort knowing that even though Ken Carman thinks he'd be a Paul Thomas Anderson, he's really a Coen Brothers.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you for listening to the emerging podcast scene. That was pretty clean. Hello, you're coming in hot.
216-474-0092. Is Stephen Kwan good enough to take 1 home run pitch off of a Little League tee per at-bat? Spoiler alert. No, he's not.
What is that?
It's a horn. It's a bike horn.
Hello, you're coming in hot.
Ken, this is John Wick. Until that day that dog arrived at my doorstep, a final gift from my wife. In that moment, I received some semblance of hope, an opportunity to grieve unalone. But Lima stole that from me. Killed that from me.
Sorry to hear that.
Talking about whether you think he's a good actor or not. Was that a good performance?
I didn't think that was a good. The person playing Keanu Reeves was not a good performance. Keanu Reeves is a fine American, a fine human being. Is he born in the States? He's a fine human being.
He's a Canadian.
He's a fine Canadian.
Is he?
And he's a good actor.
He's a hockey player.
We had Hayden Grove
right.
sing the Canadian national anthem earlier.
Dude, you ever hear the charity work he does? Like
Who?
tons.
Hayden
Keanu
Grove?
Reeves?
Oh, yeah.
Hayden too.
With Hayden. Hello,
Yeah.
you're coming in hot.
They croon.
Some fans watch for fun, others affects their mood. The only thing I'm watching for is a Browns QB that is good. CRQBs, built from panic strategies. Deshaun Watson, cap implosion, fully guaranteed, mid-devotion. Shadour Sanders, 5th-round savior, Lima's favorite, cult behavior. Dylan Gabriel, short and bad, hot air balloon throws that never land. Kyler Murray, not a fan, would rather see him as a guardian. Anthony Richardson, also no, way too tired to make those throws. King Carman's fear, Ty Simpson, second coming of Kirk Cousins. Oh, please, God save us from these QBs.
That was outstanding.
If he ends up Kirk Cousins, then you would take him in the first.
That was amazing.
You'd take him 6 overall if you could tell me Ty Simpson was Kirk
Are you
Cousins.
here next Friday?
Yes.
Please, good God. I missed that. All right, thank you for sitting in.
Thanks.
Hopefully you get overtime for sitting in with us. Big thanks to Clark Kellogg, Daryl Ruiter, who both joined us. Hayden Grove called in today, the crooner. Hayden Grove called in. He was on his way back from West by God, Virginia. We are back Monday, 6 to 10 for Big Country, for Jeff, for Mitch, for John. Mitch somewhere down in Tuscarawas County. I still love you. For John, I'm Ken Carman.
We're not giving him anything, damn it.
Have a wonderful Tom White Friday, my friends.
I like to think that I'm a little better than